me, who's your doctor? Where is your home?
Well, look. Tell you what. You let me stay here for the day, and I'll tell you who my doctor is. And if you don't let me stay, I'll tell everyone what a bad place you have.
You said something about having money. Just how much money?
I've got a mattress full. Can I stay?
Perhaps it can be arranged. Though, of course, I must examine you.
Of course.
And there will be a certain fee, you understand?
I'm beginning to.
Tell me, Mr.
H-O-L...
Stop! You certainly are most annoying. Tell me, why do you want to stay here anyway?
Well, I've got to stop the plot.
The plot? You know about that?
Sure. You plan to rub out Fearless Fosdick, but I'm not going to let you.
Oh, I see. Tell me, do you have any dreams?
Well, of course. I have dreams about eating ice cream cones, and oh, what a mess they are.
What's so messy about eating an ice cream cone?
My mouth is always filled with BBs.
BBs?
For my air rifle, stupid. How else could I stand off the Indians?
Well, what Indians?
Well, the Indians who want to steal my ice cream cones.
Now, why would Indians want your ice cream cones?
Oh, they're mad about pistachio.
You are crazy, aren't you? Brazo, take Mr.
H-O-L...
Oh, never mind. Take him to observation room B, Brazo. I don't have time for the examination now.
Wait, can't I be with the other patients? I get lonely.
Later.
Come on, Sherlock. This way.
Well, I was in, thanks to the good doctor not being able to pass up a possible easy buck. The big ape Brazo led me to a small room with bars on the window and a spring lock on the door. When he left, I made like a smart gumshoe and went after the lock with my penknife. Due to my early training in picking locks at the automat, I was out like Alabama. I found myself in a long hall with 7 rooms, 3 on each side and 1 at the end. I knocked on every door. Nothing. Not even Bogart. The last one had to be Jason. Are you in there, Mr. Jason?
Diamond. Oh, I am glad to hear your voice. Please, get me out of here.
Just take it easy. I don't have a key, and this door has a padlock on it.
But you must get me out.
Sure, but give me time. First, tell me what's the score. Why did they lock you up?
Carol had it planned. She has paid Dr. Thorne to keep me here until I go crazy. She wants to have me judged legally insane so she can take the estate.
Yeah, well, maybe I can put a few kinks in her plan.
Wait, Diamond. Where are you going?
There's a phone in the doctor's office. If no one's there, I'll use it to get help.
Yes, but what if you can't get to the phone?
And I go out and get the Marines. If I can get by that ape man, that locked gate. Don't go away.
Oh, there you are, Sherlock.
Oh, don't pick on me. I was only 3.5 years old.
I'm upset with you, Sherlock. You oughtn't to be running around the halls like this.
The guy's got to have his constitutional, Brazo.
Yeah, well, you're through with yours. The doc wants to examine you now.
I've changed my mind. I don't think I like it
I said
here.
the doc wants you. What the doc wants, he gets.
Well, bully for him, but this is one time he won't. I'm leaving.
I don't want to break your arm, Sherlock.
No?
So you don't leave until the doc says so.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint him, but certain things are necessary, like this. Oh.
Now, you shouldn't act like that. I might get mad.
Oh, my knuckles. What is your jaw made of? Concrete?
Come on, Sherlock. Or do you want to try again?
No, thanks. One busted hand is enough.
And don't try to run. The gate's locked. And if I have to catch you, I'll fix your legs so you can't run again.
Oh, friendly little butcher, aren't you?
Right in here, Sherlock. The doc is waiting. Here he is, Doc.
Good. You can go back to the office, Brazo. I won't need you. Well, you seem to be well trained as a detective, Mr. Holmes. Do you always pick locks so easily?
I do better with my erector set. But you needn't examine me further. I've changed my mind.
You've changed your... This is odd. First you demand in, now you want out.
I just remembered I forgot to pick up my station wagon.
But the Indians, you want me to help you keep them from stealing your ice cream cones, don't you?
They already got them, and all my money, too. They're both gone.
Your money? Then you don't have any money?
Not a bolivar. Now, may I go, Doctor?
You're going to stay right here, Mr. Holmes. There's something peculiar about the way you've recovered from your illusions.
Doc, Miss Jason to see you. She's in your office.
Very well, Brazo. Stay here and guard this man, whoever he is.
Holmes, H-O...
Will you shut up? And make sure he stays put this time, Brazo. I have some questions I want to ask him.
He won't go no place, Doc. You go ahead to the office.
Well, Carol, This is a pleasant surprise. Come to visit Jason.
Thorne, our plans will have to be changed.
Changed?
Something has come up that may cause an investigation of stepfather's illness. We can't afford to take a chance of that.
But we can't let Jason go now.
I had no such intentions. He must be taken care of tonight.
Taken care of? But that's impossible. How could
He
I...
must be gotten rid of.
What? Oh, no. No, I didn't bargain for murder.
Look, Thorne, you're in and you stay in. I've paid you $10,000. Don't forget it.
But why all this sudden rush to change our plan? Why can't we
A private detective came to see me this morning. He was hired by stepfather. I knew he had suspicions, but I didn't know they'd gone so far.
A detective?
Oh, he can't act legally, but he's the sort to cause trouble.
Detective. Private detective. Sherlock Holmes.
Rambling about.
I'm afraid we're in serious trouble. Come with me.
What?
Your private detective. I think he's already found Jason. Come on.
You wouldn't like to earn $100, would you, Brazo?
No.
It is you, Diamond.
Uh-oh, fun's over.
Thorne, you fool. How'd you get in here?
He said he was a patient, Carol, and I swear he seemed crazy enough.
He probably said he had money.
You seem to understand each other, honey, but do you mind? I'd like to take Mr. Jason home
For
now.
a couple of extra dollars, you let him walk right in. Oh, Thorne, you're an idiot. I suppose he's found Jason and talked to him.
Well, he did get out of his room and wander about.
Well, that's great. So now he knows the whole works.
Too bad, baby. Your plan is kaput.
Not quite, Diamond. You've just talked yourself into real trouble. This gun says for you not to get any bright ideas.
My IQ just dropped 30 points.
Shut him up, Brazo.
Sure.
Hey, now, wait a minute.
Oh! Now stay with him while Thorne and I make arrangements. We won't be long.
Do I get the...
Yes, Brazo, when we're ready. Come on, Thorne. I want to talk to stepfather.
Brazo's fist was made of the same stuff as his jaw. By the time I came around, darkness had painted the window, and the room was full of shadow and Brazo. The big hulk was squatting a few feet away, paying no attention to me. So I waited till my mind was clear while I eased off my right shoe. The heel was leather with a steel plate in it. I could only hope it was harder than Brazo's skull. With the shoe in my hand behind me, I was ready. Only to have him catch me stirring.
Coming to, Shamus?
Yeah. Hand me my cigarettes, will you, Brazo?
You need a smoke, huh? Sure. Where are they?
Fell out of my pocket, over there behind you.
Where? I don't see it. Say, that's not...
Need another?
Stop that.
Oh, come on, Buster, fall. Well, is little old Brazo finally getting sleepy? Happy New Year, Buster.
Levinson, homicide.
Walt, Rick, if you don't want me to be a customer of yours, get out to the Home Sweet Home Rest Home fast.
What? Hey, what kind of a gag is this now?
It's no gag, believe me. My client and I are the blue plate specials, and dinner is about to be served.
The home sweet... Oh, it still sounds like a gag. Who'd call anything that?
Now, don't argue, Walt. It's no joke.
Okay, Rick, what's the address?
1820 Allerton Avenue, Baychester. And bring a blowtorch to cut an iron gate. You may have to.
All right, I'll be there in 30 minutes.
Quicker if you can.
Stand right there, Diamond, or I'll use this gun.
Good afternoon. I represent the Sleep
Looks like
Tight
I came just in time. Only now that you've fixed Brazo, you have to dig your own grave.
Dig my own grave? Oh, honey, is this trip really necessary?
Keep moving, or I'll kill you right here.
I move.
Keep going. Over there behind those trees where Thorne and Jason are.
Well, is Jason...
He's alive, but not for long.
Where's Brazo? I thought he was going to...
Diamond knocked him out. They can dig their own graves. There, the shovels. Get busy.
Carol, please, you may have the money. I swear...
Shut up and dig.
Carol, this is...
Just work the shovel.
Can you imagine Richard Diamond, private detective, letting a sawed-off female make him dig his own grave? You can't? Well, she did. And for a good half hour. I stalled as long as I could to give Walt Levinson a chance to get there.
That's enough. I said that's deep enough.
Oh, please, I'm just started.
You're finished. Jason, get into that hole with him.
Very well. I guess this is it, Diamond. Sorry to...
Oddly enough, the answer is simplicity itself. Make out a check.
You have been listening to The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe, starring Sidney Greenstreet. Tonight's transcribed story was based on the characters created by Rex Stout. This is an Edwin Fadiman program produced and directed by J. Donald Wilson. In the cast were Larry Dobkin as Archie Goodwin, and Howard McNear, Grace Lennard, Vic Rodman, Herbert Butterfield, Bill Johnstone, Gene Bates, and Bob Bruce. Next week at this same time, Nero Wolfe and Archie will bring you The Case of the Bashful Body. Don Stanley speaking. 3 chimes mean good times on NBC. Ladies and gentlemen, the ringing of that phone bell brings you mystery, adventure.
Nero Wolfe's office, Archie Goodwin speaking. No, I'm sorry. Mr. Wolfe is busy planning a menu. I'll see if he can talk to you. What's the name again? You want to talk to a dame named Mrs. Collins?
Hang up, Archie.
Do we know a Mrs. Collins?
No.
I don't suppose you care, but I think her voice is very charming.
Doubtless. Every female has a charming voice to you. Hang up.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mrs. Collins, but at the moment, Mr. Wolfe is too involved with his digestive system to be interrupted. However, if I may introduce myself, Archie Goodwin, Mr. Wolfe's assistant, if I can be of any help.
Archie.
Yes, Mrs. Collins, I'll ask you. Cocktail party.
Hang up, Archie.
Mrs. Collins, I'm afraid it would be better if you didn't expect Mr. Wolfe. Goodbye. Cocktails. Phooey.
Absurd. Perfectly absurd.
She says you promised to come to her cocktail party, and why aren't you there?
Because you are going to attend the cocktail party and the probable unpleasant ending.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that genius who is the bulkiest, balkiest, the most ponderous, and most brilliant detective in the world. Yes, none other than that chair-borne mass of unpredictable intellect, Nero Wolfe, created by Rex Stout and brought to you in a new series of adventures over this NBC network in the person of Mr. Sidney Greenstreet.
Mr. Wolfe and I refer to this as the case of the party for death. Nero Wolfe really should have gone to the party since he'd accepted, but I was delegated. I can't complain now since it was there that I met Georgia, the most beautiful redhead. Well, that's my weakness, redheads. Yeah, blondes and brunettes. Well, anyway, Mr. Wolfe was adamant about going to the party.
I've never been to a cocktail party in my life. You know, I drink nothing but beer.
You could take your beer with you, couldn't you?
I could not.
Do we know a Mrs. Collins whose cocktail party you said you'd go to?
The phone rang and I picked it up.
Where was I?
Exactly.
Okay. So a Mrs. Collins with a beautiful, seductive voice conned you into accepting an invitation to a cocktail party that you knew you weren't going to.
Archie.
Yes, master.
Just a little less sarcasm, perhaps.
Sarcasm?
Call it impertinence, then.
Impertinence, master?
Exactly. Less of that. Much less.
Okay.
Continue now.
Where was I?
You were reading the duck recipe.
Oh, yes, the duck. Oh, here we are. Dodine de canard. The dodine is one of the oldest dishes in the repertory of French cooking, being mentioned in books of the 14th century. Le Grand Cuisinier de toute Cuisine.
Hooey, what time is it, Archie?
Almost 6:30.
Oh, in that case...
You going to get up?
Here on this card are your instructions, Archie. If you are still alive tomorrow, you may make your report.
I helped the huge bulk that was Nero Wolfe out of his specially built desk chair and walked with him to the elevator that would take him upstairs to his orchids. I stepped back to the desk and found the card which bore my instructions. In his small, perfect handwriting, I read, Mrs. Albert Collins, Empire Towers. Arrive at 7, say I sent you. After the murder, telephone me before the police arrive. At exactly 7, I rang Mrs. Collins' doorbell. Mrs. Collins?
I'm Mrs. Collins.
I'm Archie Goodwin. We talked on the phone a little while ago.
Oh, yes. Well, come in, Mr. Goodwin.
Mr. Wolfe begs to be excused. At the last moment, he was unable to attend.
Well, I'm glad you could come.
You're not disappointed?
No, I don't think so. I'm rather upset. I'm afraid, Mr. Goodwin, for my life. That's why I called Mr. Wolfe. Oh, just drop your hat and coat there, Mr. Goodwin.
May I tell you something, Mrs. Collins?
Well, of course, Mr. Goodwin.
Archie will do.
Archie?
When I spoke to you on the phone, I thought I knew what you'd look like.
And?
You do.
Well, is that good?
It's not bad, Mrs. Collins.
Janie will do.
Janie will do.
Archie,
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be best if I say you're an old beau of mine.
From where?
In Hollywood. When I went to Hollywood High School and you went to USC.
Okay, but don't expect me to remember much about it.
I'll be flattered if you remember anything about it. I want you to keep your eyes and ears open. Observe everything tonight. Well, now shall we join the party? Oh, Albert, this is Archie Goodwin. Archie, this is my husband, Albert.
How do you do?
Hello.
And this is Joe Boyce, my husband's partner.
How do you do? Boys?
I've told you about Archie, Albert, but well, I guess you probably don't remember, do you?
No, I don't.
When I was in high school and he went to USC.
Oh, yeah, sure. What'll you have, Goodwin?
I'd like a plain lime and soda.
Oh, now, really? A teetotaler now?
Yes, I used to overdo it, remember?
So you knew my wife in Hollywood?
Quite a while ago, though.
Uh-huh. Been here long?
Oh, a while.
Did you and my wife run into each other again just lately?
Yeah,
A few days ago?
about.
Joe Boyce here is my partner, chemical business. Makes this sort of an old home week, doesn't it, Joe?
In a way, Al. I guess it does at that.
Joe knew my wife back in those days, too. And they're still very friendly. Yes, indeed. You two have got something in common to talk about, haven't you, Goodwin?
Mrs. Collins, you mean? We never knew each other very well.
No? Okay, Goodwin, let it go.
Why, look. Look what I found. A new man. Just what I need. I'm Georgia.
Archie.
Archie, dear, will you fix up my drink, please?
Anything for a lady.
Let's go to the bar. Eh, Archie?
I'm determined, Joe. If it were only the money, or only Jane, I might listen.
Oh, Al, can't we talk about it later?
I like talking about it now, Joe.
You're going to be sorry about this, Al.
I am already. But you'll have 20 years or so in prison just being sorry. I've got the papers you forged right here.
You're hysterical, Al. Let's face it. The firm went broke, but I suffered too. So let's forget it.
Yes, Joe, the firm went broke, but you didn't. And I don't think my wife did either. The two of you had everything figured for yourselves. Well, I'm turning the papers over to the DA tomorrow.
Nero Wolfe speaking.
Archie, what do you know about this expected murder, if anything?
Has it happened yet?
No, but who's supposed to get killed?
I haven't the faintest idea, Archie.
Then why don't you stop it?
That is impossible. I don't even know who's there.
You want me to tell you?
Not in the least.
How am I supposed to prevent it if I don't know what I'm looking for?
You're not supposed to prevent it, Archie. I don't think you could. I don't think anybody could.
You want to hear what I found out already?
No?
I'll tell you anyway. Collins thinks his wife and his partner Boyce have been stealing his dough, and he's threatening to send Boyce to the clink.
Archie.
Yeah?
You're wasting our time. Go back to the party. There is nothing you can do to prevent the murder. But I want you to be there when it happens.
Now that all the guests have gone, let's sit down here, Georgia.
When Janie was in Hollywood, she must have had more good-looking boyfriends.
Let's get personal about this, Georgia.
Yeah, let's.
When you say good looking, do you mean me?
I don't mean anybody else, Archie.
You know, I think you're pretty, too.
You'd better not let Jane hear you say that.
You think she'd care?
I thought you knew Jane.
Only slightly. You don't like Jane too well, do you?
Why?
Why? Why what?
Why don't you tell the truth about it? No man as attractive as you ever knew Jane slightly. Either they knew her or they didn't know her. Maybe you think I'm getting a little tipsy.
The idea never occurred to me.
No? Well, it has to me.
Refill your glass?
I'll come with you to the bar.
Well, here's your drink, Georgia. Oh, I find there's no ice left in the ice bucket.
Janie? Hey, Janie, no ice.
Oh, well, I'll get some. Here, give me the bucket.
Mrs. Collins, Janie, I mean.
Yes, Archie.
May I use the phone in the bedroom again?
Oh, of course.
Will you excuse me for a minute, Georgia?
I'm coming with you.
Why don't you just stay here until Jane brings the ice? Well, why don't you go talk to Joe Boyce?
I don't want to talk to Joe Boyce. I don't want to talk to Joe Boyce ever.
Now, look, Georgia.
I'm coming with you, Archie. Is that clear?
Okay, come on.
Here's where the phone is.
I could have found it myself.
You don't want me with you, do you?
Just sit down here on the edge of the bed and listen, if that's what you want to do.
Nero Wolf speaking.
Archie, boss.
Well, Archie, what?
Just a bit of a report.
Go on.
At this moment, I am sitting on the edge of one of two twin beds in the apartment of Mr. and Mrs. Albert Collins. Sitting next to me is a gorgeous redhead named Georgia. Georgia what, dear?
Boyce.
You mean you're the wife of Joe Boyce?
Of course. Didn't you know?
I am sitting next to the gorgeous redheaded wife of Albert Collins' partner, Joe Boyce.
Archie, you annoy me.
From what I just learned, I can see there's another friction going on.
You mean Georgia and Jane?
Yep, fireworks between them. This one no like other one.
Have you anything more to say?
When I called, I was going to ask if there's any reason why I shouldn't come home now.
I wrote your instructions for you, Archie.
After the murder, call you.
Yeah, that's perfectly clear, isn't it?
But what if there isn't any?
Don't call me. Simple, isn't it?
Hello. He hung up.
Archie.
What?
That was a strange conversation.
Do you want me to explain it to you, honey?
What was that business about murder?
Shall we join the party?
Murder. Archie, wouldn't you be surprised if there was one?
Yeah? Who's going to do what and to whom?
I don't know. Maybe I will.
Elucidate, honey. Do you intend to figure as the killer or the corpse?
I don't intend to figure as anything. But you never know. Archie, do you think Jane Collins is better looking than me?
Nope.
Honestly?
Honestly.
Then what's the matter with me?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Oh, yes, there is. Look, do you want to kiss me?
Well, I'll tell you. When I graduated from Sunday school, I took a vow.
That's what I mean. But if I were Jane, you'd want to kiss me, wouldn't you?
No, frankly, no.
Why not?
Well, when I graduated from Sunday school,
Okay, Archie. Let's go back. You boys have such happy faces. Where's Jane?
In the kitchen getting some ice. Where have you been?
With Archie.
Is he an old school chum of yours, too?
Do you care, Joe?
No.
Mr. Boyce.
What?
How much do you weigh?
187. Why?
Then I'll be giving you 5 pounds. Shall we step outside?
This I have got to see.
Shut up. Mr. Goodwin, you seem angry.
Just terribly, terribly hurt.
Would it do any good if I apologized? Today I'm a little upset. If I said anything to offend you, I do apologize. Now, if you still want me to give you a boxing lesson, I'm at your service.
Let's forget it. I'm sorry, too. Jane Collins came in from the kitchen with a bucket of ice cubes, a tray of fresh glasses, and the strapless gown she'd been wearing.
There. I never thought I'd make it. Now I'm going to mix my own drink, and you can take care of yourselves. Ice first. Huh? Whiskey. And soda. It's a simple recipe, isn't it, Archie?
All it needs is the ingredients.
Well, I drink to the ingredients. Nice.
Janie, darling.
What, dear?
Would you mind very much if I took Archie away from you?
Haven't you done that already, dear?
To listen to those girls, you'd think, wouldn't you, Goodwin?
Me, I never think.
What do you do, Archie?
I concentrate.
On what?
On not thinking. I did some serious concentrating on not thinking about Nero Wolfe or about the conflict of the partners, Albert Collins and Joe Boyce, about the jealousies of Jane and Georgia. The next 5 minutes hardly seemed an hour. Jane and Boyce murmured to each other. Collins drank gently but firmly.
Why can't you be honest, Archie? What's the matter with me?
What, Georgia?
You weren't listening, were you?
To every gorgeous word you said.
What did I say?
I want to hear it again, just the way you said it before.
I said, why shouldn't there be a murder? Why not? It's in order.
It's just not considered the thing to do.
Thing to do. Can you think of anything better?
No, frankly.
I can. My glass is empty.
My glass is empty, too. Jane. Jane!
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not much of a hostess, am I? Oh, don't answer that. Oh, you're all empty. But I've only drunk half of mine.
You don't usually drink so slowly, Jane.
Well, I'm just not in the mood tonight. I usually drink faster to keep you from drinking mine. See, Albert always gulps his and then reaches for mine.
What's the difference?
Well, I'll fix you some fresh drinks, but put my drink over there by you, Georgia, and lay off, Albert. I only had about 3 swallows of it. Besides, you don't need any more.
I suppose we know what dear Jane is going to do, don't we?
Lay off, will you?
Lay off. It's my husband who said that, Archie. Archie, meet my husband, Mr. Boyce. I will now explain why dear Jane took our glasses away to the kitchen when she could have bought a drink right here.
Listen, Georgia, will you...
Mr. Boyce is speaking, Archie. What, Mr. Boyce?
Nuts.
Mr. Boyce says nuts, Mr. Goodwin. What do you say, Mr. Collins?
I think Joe has covered the field.
We were talking, weren't we, Archie?
Possibly.
We were talking about dear Jane. She's got to be always the prettiest, always devastating. Right now, she's putting on a completely new face. And in about 20 minutes, when our tongues are hanging out, she'll come back, all horsed up and bright and smiling, with another tray of drinks.
Yeah, she'll take all night to fix them.
Well, I'm going to get some air on the balcony.
Don't jump off. Al, you're drinking too much lately.
I shouldn't worry you, Joe. Especially now.
When you start drinking, not only your drinks, but everybody else's too, well... Jane's right.
Is that what worries you? Slide Jane's glass down. The ice is all melted.
You see what I mean?
Okay, Joe, let's not be nasty until tomorrow. Well, that gives me an idea. Think I'll propose a toast. Until tomorrow. And you know, it may be rather fitting that I should drink a toast from the glass that Janie left. Until tomorrow.
Go! Al? Jane? Janie!
Albert! Oh, Albert.
Nero Wolf speaking.
May I come home now?
Oh, hello, Archie.
I said, may I come home now?
Have you sent for the police, Inspector Kramer?
Of course.
Who was killed, Archie?
Albert Collins.
How, Archie?
I don't know. You were right, though, weren't you?
Naturally. About what?
Murder.
Oh, that. We can talk about it tomorrow. Good night, Archie. Come home when you can.
What do you mean, come home when I can?
You'll be held as a witness, won't you? Try not to wake me with the elevator when you come in.
Well, Inspector Kramer, you've had me here at headquarters for a long while. For quite a long while. Haven't you asked me enough questions?
Goodwin, you say you never saw these people before, Collins or Boyce or their wives. Yet when all the other guests had gone, you were still there.
I guess I just don't know how to say goodbye.
You didn't know they were partners in a chemical company. You didn't know that Boyce had forged a lot of papers with Collins' name.
All I know is what you tell me.
Goodwin.
Yes, sir?
I'm trying to be nice.
Yes, sir.
Now, I know, of course, that you went to that party because Nero Wolfe told you to.
Do you?
My question is, how did Wolfe know it was going to happen?
Why don't you ask him?
I already have.
He told you?
He says he never heard of Collins or Boyce.
Did he say he'd ever heard of me?
He says he isn't responsible for you or your shady friends. Maybe he knows I found a poison pellet in George's bag.
Inspector, may I make an important call?
Go ahead.
Archie. Confounded light. Hello?
What time is it, Master?
Confounded, Archie.
I'll tell you what time it is. It's a little after 4 a.m. I'm at Central Headquarters, and Inspector Kramer has been chatting with me about my shady friends.
Kramer is a jackass.
Just a second. Pick up the other phone, will you, Inspector? Sorry, Mr. Wolf. What was that you were saying about Inspector Kramer?
I said Kramer is a jackass.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. Wolf,
Oh? Eavesdropping, Inspector.
I was just talking about bringing you down here for a little questioning, Wolf.
Phooey.
What's that?
Phooey. It can be spelled in several ways. I spell it P-F-U-I. Phooey.
You think I won't bring you down here as a material witness?
Yes, I think you won't. I think you'd be making a great mistake if you did.
A great mistake. Why?
Because I might not tell you who killed Collins. Then you wouldn't know which one of these people to prefer charges against. Now send Archie home. Even he needs an occasional night's sleep.
He hung up.
So it seems. Busy? He's probably left the phone off the hook, Inspector. By now, he's probably asleep again.
You know I can go out there, don't you?
Sure you can. More important men than you have tried it. And where are they now?
Goodwin?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to let you go.
I'm sure Mr. Wolf and I are very grateful, Inspector.
You want to know why I'm letting you go?
I know why.
Why?
Because if you're nice and cooperative and don't make too much trouble, Mr. Wolf will solve this case for you and tell you whom to prefer charges against.
Goodwin.
Sir?
Get out.
Thank you, Inspector. Good morning, Inspector. At 3 o'clock the next afternoon, I was rearranging the furniture in Nero Wolf's office while the great man sat behind his desk watching me perspire.
Are you finished now, Archie?
I guess so.
And tell me where they sat.
There were 2 couches, like this, in front of a fireplace. Collins and Boyce were sitting together on one couch. When Georgia and I came in, they were looking at some canceled checks.
Where was Mrs. Collins?
I told you she was getting ice and fresh glasses.
Why was she getting fresh glasses, Archie? Where were the empty ones?
I don't know. Maybe they were the same ones she brought back washed and polished.
Archie, I trust your powers of observation absolutely. That's why I sent you to Mrs. Collins' cocktail party.
Okay, how did you know there was going to be a murder? If it was a murder.
It was a murder, Archie. But isn't it obvious?
How is it obvious? Suppose Collins slipped a few drops of the poison into his drink himself.
It's very strong, very deadly poison, with a remarkably strong odor.
Like almonds, I know. I smelled it when I picked him up.
Archie, was anything found on the body that might have contained the poison? A fountain pen? Whatever?
Not even that.
Inspector Kramer found a poison pellet in Georgia's handbag. He thinks she poisoned Collins' drink.
Say, could be. But it wasn't his drink, it was his wife's. Then Georgia was trying to kill Jane, and Collins got it by mistake.
We shall soon see, Archie.
I was expecting a murder because you told me to expect it. I watched every move that everybody made. There's no possibility that Jane's glass, the glass with the poison in it, was tampered with by anybody.
Yes, I believe.
Okay.
Archie, you're sore, aren't you?
Have you ever spent the night with Inspector Kramer? He's really a good man, too. Why did you say he was a jackass?
Because he didn't know who killed Collins?
Do you?
Of course. Was there ever any question about it?
Just a moment, please.
The only trouble is it may be difficult to prove. That's why we are giving this little cocktail party this afternoon with the help of Inspector Kramer. By the way...
Yes?
Call Mrs. Collins and tell her to bring a bucket of ice from her refrigerator.
Why?
Because our refrigerator's broken down.
No, it hasn't. I was just out in the kitchen a minute ago.
Our refrigerator has broken down. And it would be very helpful if Mrs. Collins would bring a bucket of ice cubes.
What makes you think she'll do it?
She will. Call her.
6:45. There we were in Wolf's office doing a repeat performance of last night's smash hit. 2 couches faced each other, a cocktail table between them. On one couch, red-headed Georgia and me. On the other couch, it was a big one, Joe Boyce, Jane Collins, widow of the lately defunct Albert, and Nero Wolfe. Jane had been drinking a little slower than the rest of us. Our glasses were empty. Hers was still half full. Wolfe said,
Archie.
Yeah?
At this point in last night's party, Mrs. Collins got up and left to get some fresh drinks. Repeat what she said.
Approximately?
Approximately will do.
I think she said something like this. She said, put my drink over by you, Georgia. Lay off, Albert. I've had about 3 swallows of it. Besides, you don't need any more, Albert. Am I right, Jane?
Close enough, Archie. But what of it?
Now, what is this nonsense all about, Wolf?
Mr. Wolfe is trying to make something out of nothing.
I think Mr. Wolfe is going to turn up something mighty interesting. Don't look so perturbed, Joe.
Since I'm playing the part of the late Mr. Collins, pass me Jane's glass.
I'll keep my glass, Mr. Wolfe. I haven't finished my drink.
You're a very clever woman, Mrs. Collins.
Would it be too much if I ask what this is all about?
What worries you, Archie?
You make it sound as if that drink she's holding is poison. But it can't be, because as yesterday, she's already drunk half of it herself.
When our freezer broke down, she was more than willing to bring a bucket of ice cubes, wasn't she?
So?
What would happen, Archie, if you froze a gelatine-coated pellet of poison in the center of one particular ice cube? Mrs. Collins hasn't finished her drink. Notice the ice is all melted now. She hasn't taken one sip since the ice melted completely. She came prepared in case she was exposed. Smell it, Archie.
No, Archie, stand back. I can easily swallow this before you can reach me. Mr. Wolfe, in a few seconds, I'll drink it. But tell me something first. Tell me how you knew.
Jane, listen to me.
I knew there was going to be a murder last night because you said so. I knew that it was you who would commit the murder because it was you who invited me. You hoped an expert witness would prove that you couldn't have killed your husband. So I sent Archie Goodwin, whose observations are always exact, even when he doesn't know the import of what he's observing.
She brought back clean glasses. She poured the drinks out of bottles already open. And if anybody had put anything in or touched one of those glasses, I would have seen it.
Exactly. The poison pellet was frozen in a certain ice cube. Mrs. Collins put that cube in her own drink, drank it until the ice had almost melted down to the poisonous pellet center. And then she took all the other glasses away, leaving only hers half full. And as usual, her husband drank it.
No, Jane, don't.
Too late, Joe. Too late.
Well, boss, Jane didn't get away with the suicide try. That was clever thinking you did.
I prepared a cube of ice in which I had frozen a gelatine capsule containing nothing more than a vitamin compound. I substituted for the cube in which Jane had placed the poison for herself.
Wonder why Jane Collins wanted to have Joe. He'd stolen practically all the money in the company. He was just a crook.
Birds of a feather, Archie. I don't believe Joe Boyce had any idea that Jane was planning a murder. And he still had all the money.
Well, the forgeries will put him away for a long time. And poor Georgia could have had it pinned on her if it hadn't been for me.
Yes. You knew all along, didn't you, that Jane had planned to have Georgia accused by planting another pellet of the poison in Georgia's handbag. Jane would have gotten rid of her husband and Joe's wife in one stroke. You knew all that, didn't you?
Well, how about a bottle of beer, boss?
Could you spare the time?
Georgia. Beautiful redhead. Wonder where she is tonight.
I'm sure I haven't the slightest idea, but in case you do... Well, just be quiet with the elevator door when you come in.
You have been listening to The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe, starring Sidney Greenstreet. Tonight's transcribed story by Mindred Lord was based on the characters created by Rex Stout. This is an Edwin Fadiman program, produced and directed by J. Donald Wilson. In the cast were Harry Bartell as Archie Goodwin, and Gigi Pearson, Herb Butterfield, Peter Leeds, Evelyn Eaton, and Bill Johnstone. Next week at this same time, Nero Wolfe and Archie will bring you The Case of the Malevolent Medic. Don Stanley speaking. 3 chimes mean good times on NBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ringing of that phone bell means mystery, adventure.
Nero Wolfe's office, Archie Goodwin speaking. You're up. And you've lost your. Oh.
Archie, the answer is no.
Hold on a second. The answer to what is no, Mr. Wolfe?
I shall not attempt to find a blonde for anyone.
You've got the man on the phone a little wrong, Mr. Wolfe. He's not looking for a blonde, he's looking for a prize fighter.
Indeed. Have him come here.
Okay. Mr. Wolfe will see you at 8. So long. I was all set to argue with you about taking the case. You gave in too fast.
Nonsense. I'm fascinated by the thought of anyone misplacing a prize fighter. They're usually quite large, aren't they?
They are. But what this guy is worried about is not only finding his boy, but finding him alive.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the bulkiest, balkiest, smartest, and most unpredictable detective in the world. That chair-born genius, Nero Wolfe, created by Rex Stout and brought to you in a new series of adventures over this NBC network in the person of Mr. Sidney Greenstreet.
The case of the deadly sellout. That's what my boss, Nero Wolfe, called it. And it almost meant curtains for the firm of Wolfe and Goodwin. But let me give it to you straight right from the beginning. Although you ought to know that it wasn't until it was all over that I knew the very beginning of it myself. It all started in the New York flat of one Brock Rainey.
Yes?
The name is Jerry Fay.
I'm supposed to know you?
Being a very good friend of Pepe Gatto's, it's time you got to know me. May I come in?
Sure. You've got a problem, Miss Fay?
Pepe took a fall at the garden last night against a coffee and bum named Eubanks, right?
As far as I know, Sister, Gatto met his match.
Please, Mr. Rainey, do me a favor. Skip the sausage meat. It happens I saw the $1,200 you counted out to him to take a quick dive in the first.
You did?
How else would I know?
Okay, then here's my wrist. Slap it, Miss Fay. I'm a bad bull.
Now, look, who's kidding who? I don't care if Pepe makes himself a few deals on the side. I should worry whether he gives those meat eaters on the benches a run for the ducats. What's it to me?
If you're not worried, Sugar Plum, then neither am I. Also, I'm a very busy man.
Not too busy to pay off, I hope.
Pay off? To who?
To me.
For what?
For keeping it to myself that you collected $5,000 from the Eubanks crowd for getting Pepe to take that dive. Certain people might not like to hear it.
Miss Fay.
Yeah?
Drop dead.
I don't think we understand each other.
Which is just as well. Now get out of here.
There's something
Blow,
else.
bimbo.
Okay, Mr. Rainey. Have it your way. I'll go find someone with a more sympathetic ear. Someone like Lawson. Arnold F. Lawson. So long.
Wait. Where does Lawson come into this?
You asking is stalling. Lawson dropped a sizable piece of change on last night's two-step.
No. Close the door, Jerry.
Oh, yeah. $25,000 to be exact. That's a lot of corn to lose because a cheap fight manager arranges a frame. At least Arnold Lawson might think so.
Sit down.
Who's tired? Look, Mr. Rainey, it goes very simply in only one way. Lawson at yet knows from nothing except that your boy Gatto lost the fight. He may suspect, but he don't know. And he really don't have to know.
Glad to hear you say that.
And I'll be glad to see the shade of 3,000 long green banknotes.
How much?
You heard me, $3,000.
Get out.
Okay, I'm going. To the next phone and call Lawson.
Look, Jerry, give me time, huh? I haven't got that kind of dough right now.
Tell it to Lawson. When he gets through with you, you won't need any kind of dough.
You know, I've got Gatto set for a go with Mellish, the title contender. Gatto can take him. Please believe me, he's going to take him.
So?
So after what happened in the Eubanks fight, the odds on Gatto will be like a war debt. We can clean up.
Listen,
we can make
Heel, I wouldn't trust you from 11:59 to midnight. Get it up. Now. I'll give you 6 hours. After that, Lawson. So long.
Come on.
Hello?
Hello, Rainey, this is Gatto.
Hiya, Pepe.
Look, the boys dropped in on me at the office at Mindy's. Lawson wants to see me.
What? Lost?
Look, Bum, I'm the one with the cauliflower ears. You heard me, and what do I do?
Nothing.
But...
Don't go near him. Stay home. Let me take care of it.
How? What'll you do?
I don't know yet, Pepe, but I'll find a way.
How did he find out?
Your girlfriend.
What? She wouldn't do that. She hates the guy.
Hate him or love him, she told him.
I can't believe it.
I suggest you call our little doll Jerry and give her your regards for the double cross. Meanwhile, stay put in your apartment. Don't move.
But, Rainey... Hello? Hello?
75, 3. 319, 3...
Archie. What on earth are you mumbling about?
The high cost of blonde.
Indeed.
Oh, you can say that again.
I have no intention of doing so.
Okay, be smug. But there must have been a time even in your life when knickknacks from Tiffany figured on the budget.
Phooey.
Not to mention steak dinners and champagne. Or what did you feed your girls? Peppermint lozenges?
Nonsense.
Nonsense?
They preferred lime.
Oh, I'm dying, and he laughs. Mr. Wolf?
Yes?
I have decided that you are giving me a raise.
Archie, this is not a period in which unilateral decisions are wise.
So I'll be a dope and get a raise, huh?
As for your future mental attainments, you may be right. As for a raise...
You want to drive me to gambling? Like betting on fights or going... Okay, it's the doorbell, and I'm answering it.
The name's Rainey. You're Goodwin?
I'm Goodwin. Come in.
Is Wolf in?
Mr. Wolf is always in. Unlike prize fighters, I guess. Come on.
Thank you.
Mr. Wolf, this is Mr. Rainey, the man who lost his prize fighter.
How do you do, sir?
I'm not doing so good. Mr. Wolf, you gotta help me.
That will depend.
On what?
The fee? I digress. Your problem is what, Mr. Rainey?
Mr. Wolf, I manage a fighter named Gatto. Maybe you've heard of him.
I have not. However, that is of little significance. You are having difficulty with this Mr. Gatto?
I'm not having difficulty with him. I can't find him. Maybe you better let me give you the whole picture, huh?
Very well.
Well, Gatto is an up-and-coming boy, Mr. Wolf. He had a little upset last week with a guy named Eubanks. But everybody knows in spite of that, Gatto's heading for the big time. I think he'll prove that when he goes against Mellish.
Mr. Mellish being another pugilist, huh?
That's right, Mr. Wolf. Now, Pepe, that's Gatto. Pepe was due at the Turf Club this afternoon to meet the opposition management and go over the setup. He was due, but he didn't show. I waited all afternoon, and then I started the phone calls and taxis.
The results?
No results. I combed every joint I ever knew him to buy a beer in, and the score was 0. Matter of fact, nobody's even seen him for 4 days.
You would have tried the gymnasiums, naturally?
I did.
Does this pugilist have a home?
Yeah, 206A Rathburn Street. A penthouse on the roof.
He was not at home during all this time?
It's where I tried first. It was empty as a bank on Saturday afternoon.
I see. And you want me to find him for you?
If Pepe blows this fight, Mr. Wolf, it'll ruin his career.
And the preservation of his career is worth a good deal to you?
I got a check for $2,000 right here.
Archie?
I'll get it. $2,000.
Very well, Mr. Rainey. I shall take immediate steps.
I got a cab waiting outside. We can get started right away.
We? Phew. I shall remain here.
But how do you expect to...
Archie.
Yes, Mr. Wolf.
You will leave with Mr. Rainey. I need information. You might try the Rathburn Street penthouse to start with.
But I've already been there.
With all due apologies, Mr. Rainey, suppose you restrict your activities to pugilists. Archie is a trained observer. You are not. Archie, you will pick up whatever you can at Gatto's apartment. I especially suggest a careful check on his wardrobe.
Wardrobe?
If his clothes are missing, Mr. Rainey, it would indicate that he left voluntarily and deliberately. for whatever reasons he may have had. If they are not, Archie, you will phone me from the apartment after your investigation is over.
Okay.
I shall, in the meantime, devote some thought to the subject.
Huh? For $2,000, all you're going to do is devote some thought?
Mr. Rainey, if I were not a modest man, I would point out to you that you're getting quite a a bargain.
Gatto? Gatto?
He's not here, I told you that. I was up here before.
He left the door unlocked?
I had a key. Guess I forgot to lock up after I left.
Now, let's look around. Bathroom?
Yeah.
Empty. It's a nice penthouse. That a closet?
Yeah. What do you think? He's playing hide and seek?
Try it.
Okay.
Anything in there?
Nothing I'm looking for.
What's that you found?
A hat.
Well, let's see.
A lady's hat.
Yeah, smart and expensive. Label reads a Madame Yetta original. That bunch of lace and feathers cost somebody a fast $50.
Yeah, probably one of his girls left it behind.
And maybe she'll call for it. Come on, we'll take a gander out on the roof.
I took a gander out there. It's bare as a bone.
What have we got over there with the chimney?
Where?
Over there.
Just an old awning. Got blown down in the storm last month.
Be right with you.
What are you doing?
Looking under it. Oh, brother.
You found him?
Yeah, we found him, chum. A little late. 2 holes in his dorsal development and dead as a clay pigeon.
Yeah.
Well, what have you got to say?
Well, now at least the bookies will cancel all bets. We both save our dough.
Yeah. I got to phone Mr. Wolf. And there he was, Mr. Wolf, under the old canvas awning.
Where's the hat? Oh, this is it.
That's it, boss. Snazzy number, no?
Where'd you find it?
On the floor of the closet.
You're right, Archie. Frothy little bit of millinery caprice. Have you any idea whose it may be, Mr. Rainey?
I wish I did.
You have to find out.
Well, how, boss?
The hat is an original. See, the label under the band reads a Madame Yetta original. Tomorrow morning, Archie, you will interview Madame Yetta.
Yes, boss.
And discover in your inimitable fashion for whom she made this chapeau. Hello?
Archie again, Mr. Wolf. Per your instructions, I have just talked to Madame Yetta.
What did you learn?
Madame Yetta tells me she made that hat for a Mrs. Lawson.
Who is Mrs. Lawson?
Wife of an ex-beer hustler who's in the chips and puts on airs. Lives in a penthouse of the Bradford Arms. I was just about to hop a cab and go up there, boss.
Good. Keep this up, Archie. And through sheer practice, you may yet develop a full-blown intelligence.
Well, I'm trying, Mr. Wolf. And after the Lawsons, I do what?
Return here immediately and hurry.
How do you do, Mr. Lawson?
Oh, Mr. Goodwin. My secretary tells me you're a detective.
My boss might argue with you on that, Mr. Lawson.
Your boss?
It happens I work for Nero Wolf.
I see. And you wish to see me about...
About this hat.
Hat? Oh, I see, yeah. Well, Mr. Goodwin, please believe me, I never wear hats like that.
Would your wife be likely to say the same?
My wife? Just what are you getting at?
Would I seem too nosy if I asked how well you and your wife know Pepe Gato?
How well do we know who?
Pepe Gato.
The pug?
No, not such a pug.
No, huh? I lost $25,000 on him in the Eubanks fight. If you ask me, he laid down like a dog.
And did you talk it over with him?
Talk it over with him. Never seen the man in my life.
Not even at the fight?
No, I placed the bet over the telephone. I'd scarcely have anything to do with a character like Gatto, Mr. Goodwin.
You surely won't from here on out, Mr. Lawson.
What do you mean?
Gatto is dead.
You don't say.
He was murdered last night.
Murdered?
And what would you say, Mr. Lawson, if I told you that this hat is your wife's and that it was found in a closet in Gatto's apartment?
Now, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Are you implying...
Not implying. Facts are sticking out.
What time was this dumb brute done away with?
Oh, I'd set it at somewhere between 5 and 7 p.m. last night.
You said it very conveniently. Thanks.
Why?
My wife and I drove out of the city at 4:30 yesterday afternoon. Didn't get back until 2 this morning.
And this hat? It took wings and flew into Gatto's closet? Is that the answer?
No, that's not the answer.
Then what is?
This is. A month and a half ago, I was with Celia on a bus top. She was wearing that hat, and the wind blew it off her head.
I see. And from there, we figure that somebody picked it up, and it finally wound up at Gatto.
You can figure anything you please. Personally, I don't feel in any way obligated to figure anything.
Darling, I was just on my way out and... Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were busy.
Yes, I am busy, Celia.
Wait a minute. He's not all that
Run along
busy.
now, dear. You'll be late.
But I want to talk
Run
to you.
along, Celia.
Yes, darling. Sorry. I'll see you later.
Beautiful. Really beautiful.
I've always thought so, Goodwin.
You, didn't give me much of a chance to talk to her, did you, Lawson?
If I didn't, it's for your own good.
My good? I don't get it.
Celia's a sensitive person, and I won't have her bothered.
And do you mean to tell me you let him scare you?
Let him scare me? Say, will you stop being so fearless with my life? The guy said don't bother my wife, so I didn't bother his wife. It was that simple.
Apparently his wife was not blonde. Answer the phone, Archie.
No, you answer it. Now you've hurt my feelings.
Oh, well. Hello?
I want to speak to Mr. Nero Wolf.
Mr. Wolf speaking.
Oh? Is it true that you're interested in the Gatto murder?
Who are you, and how do you know he's been murdered?
The second question is none of your business. And as for the first, call me Jerry. Jerry.
How do you do, Jerry? Jerry. Where do you call?
Would you like to come to an auction?
An auction?
You know, going, gone, to the highest bidder.
And what are you placing on the auction block, Miss Jerry?
A few facts. All in good condition and guaranteed to make it a cinch to snag the Gatto killer.
Sounds promising.
Only you'll have to bid against real money.
May I have the address of the auction room?
You'll have no trouble finding it. Your assistant was there last night.
Where?
The penthouse on top of 206A Rathburn Street. The big item goes on at 4 bells. Yeah? Who is it?
Man named Wolf sent me.
Just a sec.
You're Jerry, huh?
I was expecting the man named Wolf.
Unfortunately for me, honey, when he's expected, I usually show up.
Come on in.
You? See, I'm the legs of the combination. He's the brains. It makes a nice division of labor.
I see. You came in plenty of time.
On the nose is our custom. Where are the rest of the bidders?
Any second now.
Mm-hmm. How many besides me are coming?
One.
Small auction.
But big action.
How'd you happen to decide on this?
I knew Gatto pretty good.
And you were fond of him pretty good, huh?
How did you guess?
Well, you've got a key to this place of his, or you couldn't let yourself in. It adds, no?
Gee, you should have been a detective.
Just what I keep telling Mr. Wolf. Look, tell me, Jerry, darling, this other person who's coming to the auction, who?
The killer?
You don't say. You sure the killer isn't here already?
Look, I didn't kill him.
The story you would like me to believe is that you witnessed the killing, huh? Called the killer and Mr. Wolf and said, come on, kids, you can get me either to talk or shut up, depending on who pays the most. That it?
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, prove you know what you're talking about. Who is the killer? Is it Block Rainey?
Should also have your head examined, pretty boy. I talk for dough and only for dough. Not that I'm mercenary or anything, but...
Okay, tell me this. How come you saw the killer in the act?
Simple. I was here with Gatto. Called me to come see him. While I was here, the shot came through the window there from the roof.
You know something, sweetheart?
What?
I can't understand how a girl like you, a pretty nice girl under all that paint and powder and Broadway shellac, how you could do a thing like this. You were in love with Gatto, I know that. Everybody does. And still you're willing to keep your mouth shut if the killer pays enough. How come? What's the matter, honey? Did I hit a tender spot?
I don't think you understand. Sure, I was in love with the goof. Then along comes this other dame. She's rich and beautiful, and she has everything to give him.
Ooh, do I know her?
Of course you do. She... Oh!
Jerry.
Oh.
Jerry.
She was just about to tell me, and then the shot came through the window from the roof, boss. It's a flat roof outside.
You didn't, I suppose, see the murderer?
No. I caught Jerry in my arms. By the time I laid her down on the couch and got out on the roof, the killer was gone.
Get right over here and bring our client with you, if you can find him.
Rainey?
That's right. He has a right to be in on the kill.
Okay, boss. But keep away from that beer till I get there.
Don't be impertinent. I shall be busy phoning Mr. and Mrs. Lawson. Meanwhile, I want them here, too. Besides, one bottle won't do any harm. Ah, there they are. Let them in, Archie. You remain seated, Mr. Rainey.
Okay, Mr. Wolf. Well, come in, Mr. Lawson. Come in.
Mr. Wolf here?
He's here. Nice of you to come.
Anything to help the law.
Ah, Mr. Lawson. Your wife didn't come.
No, Mr. Wolf. She was out when you called. Sorry, I forgot to tell you. I left word with the butler, however.
Mr. Lawson, about 20 minutes ago, a girl named Jerry Fay was killed.
So?
She was killed in your neighborhood, in a flat formerly occupied by one Pepe Gato.
Well, where would that be?
Maybe your wife knows where the flat would be.
How dare you, sir?
No histrionics, please. Where was your wife when the girl was killed? I'm advising you that if there is an alibi, now's the time to state it.
I wouldn't humiliate Celia by alibying for her.
Then the police will pick her up.
But she didn't kill this girl, Mr. Wolf.
You have reasons for that opinion?
The best of reasons.
I'd be grateful if you'd state them and let me be the judge of their excellence.
One should do. This one. Celia's out in the country visiting her mother.
Oh?
Does that settle it?
Possibly. What's her mother's telephone number?
Why,
Merely a routine check.
Well, can't you take my word?
I'll take her mother's number. Well, Mr. Lawson?
I'm sorry. I hoped you'd buy this story.
What do you mean?
Her mother's been dead for 10 years.
I see.
Well, I don't. What's the idea?
It's known as marital devotion, Archie. I suppose you realize, Mr. Lawson, that in shielding your wife, you're aiding and abetting a murderess?
I haven't stopped to realize anything. When Goodwin brought me that hat, I didn't know what to say.
Oh, you pitched me a curve then, too.
Well, I suppose you might call it that, but...
And she didn't lose the chapeau off a bus top.
No, but you've got to understand. Celia's the dearest thing in life to me.
Yeah, so's a lady rattlesnake to its husband.
I suggest it is time for you to be objective in this matter, Mr. Lawson.
What do you want to know?
Tell us where she can be found.
I have no idea.
When is she expected to return home?
Never.
Oh?
You see, we had an argument. I doubt that I'll ever see her again.
Then we're quite on our own, Archie.
To do what?
To make a journey to Gatto's apartment.
Gatto's apartment?
She probably has a key to that popular abode.
But she wouldn't go there, boss.
On the contrary, I am of the opinion that that's just where she would go. Give me my hat.
Don't tell me you're going to stir yourself.
It's a most unpleasant necessity, Archie. But the lady in question is dangerous and not at all hesitant about indiscriminate gunplay. Get out the car, Archie. We'll make the journey to Rathbun Street penthouse with the hope that Celia Lawson will show up in time to mourn her lost love.
You want me to go along with you, too, Mr. Wolf?
Yes, indeed, Mr. Rainey, I do. I trust this chair will hold me.
Should. Biggest chair in the house.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes, Mr. Rainey?
Mr. Wolf, am I to understand that the way you have it figured is that Mrs. Lawson killed Gatto, and then to keep the girl from pinning the crime on her, she killed her, too?
What's the matter, Mr. Rainey? Don't you think the theory holds water?
Well, yes. I mean, of course it does.
Thank you. On the other hand, there is room for doubt.
I'm glad to hear you say that, Mr. Wolf. Would you mind explaining?
I'll explain, Mr. Lawson. Mr. Goodwin was in this room when Jerry Fay was killed. Right, Archie?
Right, boss.
He ran as quickly as he could out onto the roof, but your wife was nowhere in evidence.
What difference does that make?
A good deal, I'd say. Wouldn't you, Archie?
Yes, a detail like that would give a jury room for doubt.
Oh, don't be a fool.
How so, Rainey?
Well, I was about to agree with Rainey. I mean on sheer logic.
I'm afraid I miss your point, Mr. Lawson.
Well, what if Goodwin didn't see her? That proves nothing. She fired the shots and then she ran down the fire escape.
What fire escape?
The one a few feet beyond the chimney.
Mr. Lawson.
Yes?
Who told you there was a fire escape there?
Why,
Yeah, who did? You can't see it from here, Lawson.
Well, I just imagined there might be.
Sensationally accurate imagination, Mr. Lawson. Allow me to congratulate you.
I don't know what you have in mind.
You have in mind to see your wife convicted of the murder of Pepe Gato, and so punish them both for having dared to fall in love.
I love Celia. I worship her.
Yes, that's what you expected me to believe, hoping, meanwhile, that a hat would convict her. You worshipped her until she became fascinated by a young savage animal known as Pepe Gato.
No.
At that point, the worship shifted into reverse, and you went green with hate. Hate that drove you to climb that fire escape that you know so much about and shoot him in the back.
You're dreaming.
Carrie Fay saw you in the act, and when she was about to divulge your identity to Archie, you killed her too, meaning to hang her murder on your wife along with the other killing.
That's a lie.
Mr. Lawson, I didn't bring you here to apprehend your wife. There's really no reason why she should come here. I suggested this visit in the belief that you'd betray some guilty knowledge of the place and circumstances, as you have so obligingly just done.
You're clever, aren't you?
Monumentally.
But a little hasty.
So, why?
This gun in my hand, haven't you noticed?
Of course, sir, but yours is not the only gun in the world.
What?
Sit still, Arnold, and don't turn around.
Your wife, Mr. Lawson. Come in, my dear.
Celia, what are you doing here?
I came to get a hat that I'd left in Pepe's closet. It suddenly was clear to me what was in the wind, and I thought I'd better remove all evidence that you could possibly use against me.
Celia, listen, you must understand
I
it for you.
understand one thing only. Pepe's gone, and you took him away.
Listen, please, if you let me explain, you'll understand.
Yeah?
Please, honey, help me.
Sure, I'll help you.
Celia!
Well, that's all, Mr. Wolf. What now?
Archie, why is it when you drive it always gets so crowded outside?
Will it go tough on her, boss?
Why not? She killed a man in cold blood. Though she actually saved our lives while doing so.
I hope that helps her at the trial.
I hope so, Archie. After all, if she hadn't done what she did, what would have happened to the lobster bisque?
What lobster bisque?
The lobster bisque that Fritz is making for dinner. Hurry, Archie. It really can't be appreciated unless it's eaten hot.
You have been listening to The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe, starring Sidney Greenstreet. Tonight's transcribed story was based on the characters created by Rex Stout. This is an Edwin Fadiman program, produced and directed by J. Donald Wilson. In the cast were Larry Dobkin as Archie Goodwin, and Ann Diamond, Charlotte Lawrence, Gerald Moore, Don Diamond, and Eddie Fields. Next week at this same time, Nero Wolfe and Archie will bring you The Case of the Killer Card. Don Stanley speaking. 3 chimes mean good times on NBC. Saturday night is date night, and NBC has a lively lineup of music and fun to help your courting along. Tomorrow, Dennis Day brings you a melodic and mirthful 30 minutes, and then Judy Canova gets together with her gang for a sparkling session of mountain-style song and laughter, followed by singing MC Red Foley and his friends on that exciting parcel of Western tunes and mayhem Grand Ole Opry. Here's Sam Spade. 3 chimes mean good times on NBC. Ladies and gentlemen, the ringing of that phone bell means mystery, adventure.
Nero Wolfe's office, Archie Goodwin speaking. You want Mr. Wolfe to what?
Mr. Wolfe will do nothing of the sort, Archie. Mr. Wolfe is thirsty.
Hold on for a moment. The bottle opener's in the left-hand drawer of your desk.
Thank you, Archie.
Mr. Wolf, I've got a man named Denby on the phone. He wants you to umpire a card game.
Man is insane.
He's offering a fee.
The answer is no. I know nothing of card games, nor do I wish to learn.
Okay. Well, the answer's no, Mr. Denby. Sure, I'll ask him again. After he finishes the beer he's working on. Goodbye.
People appall me. The fantasies they indulge in. Bah, what on earth made that maniac think I might consent to preside at a card game?
Well, seems he expects one of the players to be death.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the bulkiest, balkiest, smartest, and most unpredictable detective in the world. That chair-born genius, Nero Wolfe. Created by Rex Stout and brought to you in a new series of adventures over this NBC network in the person of Mr. Sidney Greenstreet.
Mr. Wolfe would not attend, but the card game went on anyway. At the home of a Mr. Stephen Denby.
Jean?
Yes?
LaCosta? Mr. Piper?
Hmm?
I think we're ready to begin, eh?
I'm ready.
Yes, Jean. You always are.
How I like that remark, I'll have to decide later on.
Yeah, please do. LaCosta?
It's all right with me.
And Mr. Piper?
I brought a deck.
No, as host, I shall supply the cards.
Before we play, I examine them, yes?
Of course. Here you are. Chuck?
Yeah, Mr. Denby?
You will remain outside the door until called. No one is to enter this room under any circumstances.
Got it.
LaCosta?
The cards look all right.
Thank you. Now then, shall we make things absolutely clear?
You mean, should you make a speech? I don't mind.
But make it short, huh?
I shall. The four of us seated at this table are joint owners of the Candy Club, a rather successful institution devoted to the sale of food, liquor, entertainment...
And the gambling.
And games of chance. For some time now, we have all resented sharing the profits. Some of us have attempted to buy out the others.
Denby, you needn't babble on. No one wants to sell. We know that.
True, Mr. Piper. Which is the reason for this little game of cards. One hand shall be dealt to each of us, a hand at poker. Whoever wins gets the club. The others retire as gracefully as they can. Agreed?
That's why we...
Agreed. Very well. The cards are shuffled. I'll place them in the center of the table. LaCosta, would you like to...
I cut.
Good.
If nobody minds, I'll cut them, too. After Mr. LaCosta.
Nobody minds. Happy now, Mr. Piper?
Let's get going, huh?
Very well. Unless Jean would care to...
Oh, thanks. We're all crooks here, which sort of cancels out any funny business with a card.
Very well. We shall all draw a card in turn until 5 cards are drawn by each player. Shall we start, Jean?
Sure.
LaCosta?
Okay.
Mr. Piper?
Yes, of course.
And myself. We just keep going in rotation.
This is fun.
Fun? No. There's too much money which rides on these cards.
That's what makes it fun.
Would you mind keeping quiet? I'm nervous.
We all are, one way or another. I think we all have our 5 cards now.
We all got them.
Very well, then. In the same order that the cards were dealt. Jean?
A pair of 3s.
LaCosta?
Nothing.
Mr. Piper?
Kings. 2.
The lights!
Piper. Well, what?
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da. Hey. Hey, I don't like to seem stuffy, mister, but will you take your elbow out of my back?
I'd be delighted to, Mr. Goodwin, but it's not my elbow.
I don't care if it's your tibia maximus. Just take it away.
Chuck wouldn't like that.
Oh, we have company. Mind if I look around?
Keep right on walking, pal.
That would be Chuck behind me, huh? And you are...
My name is Denby. You may remember it.
Oh, yeah. You phoned a couple of hours ago about a card game. Now, look, just what is your boy poking in my back?
I think it's a 38.
You're not sure?
It might be a 45.
Chuck, is it loaded?
Make a funny move, pal, and you'll find out the hard way.
Yo, wait a minute. It's just a passing curiosity. Where are we going?
My car. Get in.
If you insist. I guess you do. Okay.
I'll drive, Chuck.
The car bulletproof?
No, that's hardly necessary. Chuck shoots first.
Well, that's a saving, I guess. The only thing is, I hadn't figured on taking a ride. I told Mr. Wolf I was going for a walk. He disapproved,
You're
but...
going for a ride.
Isn't that a little corny?
Now, there's a minor difference. Usually the guest, shall we say, is killed at the conclusion of the ride. In this case...
Let's not make the difference too minor, huh?
You will survive the ride. It's what comes afterwards that might kill you. You see, Mr. Goodwin, my friends and I have a little mystery to solve.
You want me to solve it?
No. We want Mr. Wolf to solve it. In order to do so, he must leave his house and come to mine. He has to in order to find the solution quickly.
Why?
Neither my friends nor myself have any desire to improve our acquaintance with the police. Therefore, we want the mystery solved before the police are even called in. Hence our need for Mr. Wolf. Hence our detaining you.
Detaining is a pretty word in the circumstances.
Now, this is my home, Mr. Goodwin.
Oh, well, I don't like the architecture. I think I'll stay out.
Get going, pal.
On second thought, Mr. Denby, what makes you think Mr. Wolf is going to leave his house and come here?
You. Unless he does so, he will lose you. Forever. The door, Chuck.
Okay.
Mr. Goodwin, may I introduce you to my associates in business and in poker? To your right, Mr. Locasto, a charming but impulsive fellow.
Hello.
He's only the stooge. Where's the fat fellow?
In time, Locasto. The lovely lady whose back is to you is Jean. Jean something or other. She's always changing her name.
Hello.
Hello.
And the gentleman facing you is Mr. Piper.
How do you do? Is he exclusive or just... Hey, he's wearing his red carnation a little low, isn't he? Over his heart. Except that's no carnation.
That, Mr. Goodwin, is blood. Lifeblood.
Archie. Oh, Pa, he's always taking walks. Come in. The door's unlocked.
Are you... Yeah, you're Wolf.
Having made a magnificent discovery, suppose you remove your hat?
No, come on.
I beg your pardon?
Mr. Denby wants to see you.
Mr. Danby can see me here.
Here ain't where he wants to see you.
Here, at the risk of minor monotony, is where he'll have to see me.
Don't you want your boy Goodwin to keep on living?
No one has ever been able to discourage him.
Mr. Denby will.
Ah, Archie's in custody?
No, in Mr. Denby's house under a gun.
I don't have to believe that.
Take a look at this.
A wallet. Archie's wallet. I shall accompany you. And permit me to warn you that if Mr. Goodwin has been harmed, nothing short of murder will satisfy me.
It's getting late. Wolf isn't here yet. Maybe he doesn't worry about you, Goodwin.
Well, he could have been delayed. Maybe an orchid needed a pollen transfusion or something. Besides, only the good die young.
Then you must be very, very good, Archie.
That remark I didn't care for.
We sit here and wait for the fat one, but in the meanwhile, the police...
The police will come when we notify them.
But they will not like the delay we make to notify them. I say we waste time. I say the fat one will not risk coming.
You say entirely too much.
Is that so? Maybe I kill you myself.
Picasso, put that gun away.
Yes, darling Archie should have a chance to live. Not long if Wolf doesn't come.
Stop looking so pleased.
Are you afraid to die, Archie?
Yeah, well, I'm not looking forward to it. It's so final. Besides, I didn't eat a hearty dinner, and Oh, the Marines have landed.
Who is it?
Chuck, with Nero Wolf.
Let him in. Shut the door, Chuck. Stay outside.
Archie?
Hello, Mr. Wolf. Oh, am I glad to see you.
I regret I cannot say the same thing. But I asked you, why couldn't you stay at home instead of taking those confounded walks? I warned you it'd be dangerous.
Yeah, but Mr. Wolf, it wasn't the fresh air that got me. It was Denby.
Mr. Wolf, I knew you wouldn't come here without some sort of pressure. I thought the method I used would be most effective.
Would you really have killed Archie if I hadn't come?
I would have had no choice. I would have been stuck with a witness to an unsolved murder.
Suppose I cannot solve it.
I should be forced to apply the same logic to two witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Wolf, you really came here to save my life, huh?
Nonsense. I came here for a fee, Mr. Denby.
I have a check for $1,000 already made out.
Clear it up. You forget. I left my home. I traveled unprotected through the streets of this city, exposed to motor accidents, to fresh air, too. You offer me $1,000.
Will $2,500 do?
Barely. Archie, will you take the check? Now, I presume you want me to find who killed the gentleman at the table, the one facing me, huh?
His name is Mr. Piper.
The name is no importance. Will you all sit at the table in the same position you were at the time of the shooting?
Of course. Jean? Picasto?
Good. Now for a look at the wound. The lights, I should imagine, went out for a while when the shooting occurred.
They went out?
Yes. Of the three of you at the table, which one had the best motive for the murder?
We all have the same motive. The club.
Helpful. There was no one else in the room at the time?
No one.
The door?
Locked, with Chuck on guard outside of it.
So much for that. The windows, I notice, are closed. They were closed when the murder took place?
They were closed.
The window panes are all unbroken, which eliminates the possibility of the shot being fired from outside of them, unless one of them was raised and lowered.
That wouldn't have been possible. The windows are secured by catches.
Archie, will you check that?
Okay, Mr. Wolf.
I shall for the moment assume that the windows are neither lying nor untrustworthy. Does anyone remember anything unusual occurring at the time of the shooting?
Well, someone whispered Piper just before the shot.
Indeed. You all heard that whisper?
We heard it.
Man's voice or woman?
Well, I can't say. A whisper doesn't reveal much of anything.
The windows weren't open, Mr. Wolf.
Which leads to...
The fact that it had to be one of us in this room. But which one, Mr. Wolf?
The murder weapon. Ah, yes. Has it been moved?
Nobody touched it. It's laying on the floor where it was dropped.
Interesting. If you look closely, you would observe two oil spots staining the rug between the revolver and the lady's chair, indicating... who sat at the right of Mr. Piper?
I did. Why?
Mr. Denby.
Yes?
If I were you, I would turn Mr. Lecasto over to the police.
You are a liar.
I warned you about that gun, Lecasto.
Was it necessary to shoot Mr. Lecasto?
In the arm, yes. He was reaching for a gun. He'll live, however, till the police take him away. What do I tell them?
You could point out the angle of the wound. As you notice, Mr. Denby, the bullet entered Mr. Piper's heart from the right.
Yes, so it did. Therefore, whoever sat to his right, well, that was Lecasto.
Archie, you have the check?
I have it.
We may as well leave.
Mr. Wolf, you're sure Lecasto shot Piper?
I have indicated the evidence. The rest will be up to the jury. Come, Archie.
Jean,
Yes, Archie.
now that my life expectancy has increased, what are you doing tomorrow night?
Archie?
I got to scram.
Lancaster 7583.
I'll be ringing your bell. Oh, Mr. Denby, you better do something about Lucasto's arm or he won't live to be executed. You see, the executioner likes them warm before he chills them. The old homestead looks very nice, Mr. Wolf.
Yes, Archie. You should stay in it more often.
Yeah, but you never get to meet babes like Jean that way.
You never get kidnapped either. Nor would I have had to leave my home in order to rescue you.
Yeah, well, you earned a nice fee, fast.
Indeed?
You seem doubtful about it.
I'm positive, Archie. I know. I have not as yet earned my fee.
Huh? You mean Denby might not turn Lucasto over to the cops?
Of course he will. The trouble is, you see, Lucasto did not murder Piper.
No? He just thought a bullet in the heart might be good for Piper's rheumatism, huh?
As it happens, Piper suffered from asthma. But that's beside the point.
Fine. Mr. Wolf, I'm going to take it for granted that you know who did kill Piper. I'm also going to take it for granted that you won't tell me until you're ready. But why turn Lucasto over to the police?
2 reasons, Archie. First, I had no proof against the real killer. Secondly, we had to supply a scapegoat in order to be permitted to leave the Danby home. You were unarmed, helpless.
Go ahead, rub it in.
Nonsense. It was an interesting problem. I enjoyed it.
It was, huh? Well, to me, it's still in the present tenses. Which reminds me, as old Dr. Tidmouse said, there's always a future tense. And in that future tense, Jean.
No, Archie.
Oh, Mr. Wolf, stop. That girl's got a love for blood that appeals to the ghoul in me. Besides, did you notice what she does to her dress?
Archie, I was merely about to say that I have no objections to your dallying with the girl.
Oh, I don't believe it. My ears need overhauling.
I objected only to the future tense. Why not call her now?
Yeah, well, I won't pretend I understand this sudden enthusiasm on your part about my love life. Probably there's some foul, scheming motive at the bottom of it. But who am I to look a gift horse in the mouth? Now, let's see. Her number was,
Lancaster 7583, of course.
This is the most beautiful bar and grill I've ever seen, Archie.
Drank, you mean?
What?
Never mind.
All right. Archie, did anybody tell you you were beautiful, too?
Well, a girl here and there has mentioned it.
Oh, were they liars?
Tell me, Jean, how did you ever get into the gambling den racket?
Because I'm a crook?
Well, I suspected that, but,
I want another drink.
you've had enough.
I want another drink, and when Jean wants another drink, no gentleman who is a gentleman...
Jean, get down.
Oh, let me go. I don't want to climb under the table.
You'll stay under here until the barrage stops. I guess the war's over. All right, Jean, get up.
No, now I'm here. I like it. I'm going to stay here for months and months.
Jean, do you realize that somebody just tried to kill you?
And I thought you had such a nice, honest face.
No, not me. Somebody out in the street. I don't know why, but Mr. Wolf will. Come on, pull yourself together and let's go see him.
The nice fat man? All right, I like him.
You do? Why?
Because he'd make such a big corpse.
Is that you, Archie?
Plus Jean.
What made you think I wanted her here?
Oh, she's one of your fans. She thinks you'd make a lovely corpse.
What was the reason for bringing her here?
She was shot at. Did you expect her to be?
I expected her to be killed. That's why I sent you to her.
Didn't occur to you I might be killed, too?
It did. I was willing to take the chance.
You were willing? Oh, Mr. Wolf, Jean's a little under the weather.
Splendid. In vino veritas.
Watch your language.
I mean, the people in their cups often tell the truth. A proverb of some antiquity. Who shot at you tonight, Jean?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see.
Has it occurred to you that you might just as easily have murdered Piper as not?
But Lucasto killed Piper. You said so yourself.
I lied. Furthermore, why the attack on you if Lucasto was the murderer?
Well, I don't know.
Did you also not know that Lucasto escaped from jail earlier this evening?
You're making that up.
Why should I? Mr. Denby turned him over to the police, but Lucasto managed to get away before being jailed.
That's not cricket.
Incidentally, Mr. Denby will be joining us at any moment. I expected you to bring Jean, Archie. Therefore, with the exception of Mr. Piper, who is resting in the morgue, and Mr. Lucasto, who is at large, we shall have all the participants in the card game. With them, perhaps we can deal a new hand, Archie?
Okay. Maybe it's the morgue to tell us Piper escaped. Oh, wrong again. Come in, Mr. Denby.
Mr. Wolf, I'm upset. I heard over the radio about Lucastro's escape. He'll try to kill us all.
Why?
Well, because we can testify that he murdered Piper.
Truly.
I beg your pardon?
Lucastro did not kill Piper.
But you said that he did.
The only evidence against Lucastro was the angle of the entrance of the bullet that lodged in his heart. May I remind you of the whisper you all heard in the darkness preceding Piper's death?
The whisper that said Piper?
Precisely. We must assume, then, that Piper turned his body in the direction of the whisper. Therefore, the angle of the wound would be wrong for Lucastro, but the correct one for...
Whoever sat opposite Piper.
I sat opposite him. But that doesn't mean I killed him.
Wait, you must have. Once he turned, the bullet must have come from opposite him. Only possible way. That means you, Jean.
No. No, it's a frame.
May I interrupt for a moment? Mr. Denby, if our present analysis is correct, it must have been you who whispered to Piper. Did you?
I hadn't thought about it before, but...
Denby, you're lying.
No, he's not lying. Continue, Mr. Denby.
Well, when the lights went out, I wanted to tell Piper something. He turned to me, and that's when he was shot.
Archie, you've taken all this down.
In my prettiest shorthand, Mr. Wolf.
Good.
I don't know why you're doing this, Denby. Maybe you think if I take the rap, you'll get the club. But remember, Lucastro's still free. He's gunning for all of us. But it'll be you. Especially you he'll want. Maybe you can talk a jury into sending me up for something I didn't do, but you won't live to gloat about it.
Go, shut up, Jean. You killed Piper and...
Who's that?
This is, of course, the murderer of Mr. Piper. No comments? Archie, the door, if you please.
But you said I was the one who...
What kind of idiocy is this?
Archie, I said the door.
Okay, but shall I ask him in or sock him?
You will act as the situation demands.
Yes, sir. But for once, I'd like to know what the situation is.
Raise him, Goodwin, and keep him that way. Now back up into the living room.
I don't back up good. My gears...
You want it here?
Never mind. I'll strip a gear.
Archie, what are you doing?
Just what the situation demands, backing up. In case your knowledge of armaments has failed you, our little friend Chuck here is pointing a .38 revolver at me.
Won't save him from the chair.
Maybe not. But it could give me quite a pain in the stomach.
Chuck, what do you think you're doing?
You double-crossing louse.
Gentlemen, if you
So
please.
you thought you'd run to the fat dick and pin it all on me, huh, Denby?
You don't know what you're talking about. We haven't even mentioned you.
You sure of that, huh? Then why did Wolf phone me and tell me you were about to sing?
Wolf phoned you?
Yeah. Said you were getting ready to feed me to the electrician up the river.
Oh, he was making a stab in the dark, Chuck, trying to start something.
That's so, Wolf?
Archie, will you read Chuck your notes about Mr. Denby's statement regarding the whisper?
Well, that doesn't mean... It could be misunderstood.
Read me the notes, Goodwin.
Here it is, I quote. When the lights went out, I wanted to tell Piper something. He turned to me
That's
and...
all I need to hear.
Chuck.
You were selling me out after hiring me to knock off Piper.
You dumb gunman. Now you've given Wolf what he wants, a confession. I was trying to pin it on Jean.
That's what you say now. It's kind of late, though. Too late for you.
No.
Goodbye, Mr. Denby. Nice shooting, Chuck.
Stay put, Goodwin. The rest of you, I'm leaving.
Police wouldn't approve. But let me have your gun. Huh?
Wise guy. You know something? I've been thinking.
Can you think?
If I was to knock off you and Goodwin, me and Jean could split the club between us and nobody'd ever know who killed Piper.
Very whimsical, Chuck, but if you don't mind...
Archie, don't be an idiot.
Well, if I have to get shot, I prefer it to happen when I'm moving forward.
Archie.
Okay, come and get it, Goodwin. March right up nice and easy and take it.
I'm coming. Would somebody mind telling me why I don't fall down?
Phooey.
I've been shot. Well, that's not the way to talk to a man who's just been... Hey, Chuck is lying down.
Is he dead?
Well, there's been a mistake. I didn't shoot him. He shot me.
Archie, stop blabbering. Neither of you shot the other. As a matter of fact...
I shot the Chuck.
Lucastro.
Lucastro, Archie?
Well, I thought he escaped.
No, I'm not crazy. I do not escape. The fat one, he phones the police to tell them how I'm innocent.
Yes, I had the police announce the escape, however, for reasons of, shall I say, strategy?
Well, on account of there are no bullet holes in me, you can say whatever you like, Mr. Wolf.
Thank you, Archie. That announcement helped heighten the tension our murderers were under.
And then they explode. The fat one, he says to me, "Look, Astor, wait in the next room. Watch careful. Maybe there's trouble." I watch. And now? Now there's no more trouble.
Well, place looks a lot tidier now with all those bodies removed, huh?
Indeed.
I'll get you the bottle of beer. But first, make with an explanation.
The case was crystal clear, Archie.
Maybe, but I'm no crystal gazer. Sure, I know. Denby had things arranged in advance with Chuck in case anybody held a better hand than his own. Piper did. So Denby whispered to Piper after kicking the light switch and set him up for a shot by Chuck from the doorway. The angle would provide evidence against Lucasto.
True. However, we had only Denby's word for it and Chuck's that the door was locked.
All right. We know, but you knew before Denby and Chuck blew up. How?
The oil spots on the rug, Archie?
Well, they only showed the gun had bounced when the murderer threw it away. Spattered oil, very well-kept gun.
They showed more than that. Where were those spots in relation to the gun? Think back, Archie.
Spots in relation... Oh, sure. They were between the gun and the door.
Therefore, the gun must have been thrown from the door. Bounced twice, staining the rug before reaching its final destination.
Ah, I get it now. That told you who'd fired the gun. But there wasn't proof enough, so you set up a nice atmosphere of suspicion and had the boys give each other away. All right, Mr. Wolf, you're a genius, and you may have your beer.
Thank you, Archie.
As for me, I'm not a genius, but I remember a phone number. So if you'll excuse me, Mr. Wolf.
You're excused, Archie.
Thanks.
But before you call that number, may I remind you that Jean is a girl of macabre tastes who appeals to the ghoul in you.
Sure you may, but why bother?
In order to be able to warn you that a ghoul and his money are soon parted. Good night, Archie.
You have been listening to The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe, starring Sidney Greenstreet. Tonight's transcribed story was based on the characters created by Rex Stout. This is an Edwin Fadiman program. In the cast were Gerald Moore as Archie Goodwin, and Betty Lou Gerson, Jay Novello, Howard McNear, Barney Phillips, and Bill Johnstone. Next week at this same time, Nero Wolfe and Archie will bring you The Case of the Calculated Risk. Don Stanley speaking. 3 chimes mean good times on NBC.
Rex Stout's Nero Wolfe. Starring Mabel Moore as Nero Wolfe and Don Franks as Archie Goodwin. Episode Man Alive, with special guest stars Lynn Griffin, Neil Monroe, August Schellenberg, Michael Tate, Marion Waldman, and Sandy Webster.
Everything about Carla Nieder was graceful. The way she angled her chin to show off her long neck, the way she perched on the edge of the red leather chair with her legs crossed at the ankles, and the way she managed her voice when she suspected me of kidding her.
You want me to spell it?
No, just the Domery part, please. I already have the Neater.
D-A-U-M-E-R-Y.
D-A-U.
Well, that's what we get for being so cocky about how famous we are. Now, what if somebody asked you how to spell Nero Wolfe?
Well, go ahead and try it. Put your fingers on my pulse and ask me, but don't ask me how to spell Archie Goodwin, which is me. That would hurt.
Anita, you made an appointment to see me. I suppose you needed a detective. Now, if so, tell me what for without encouraging Mr. Goodwin to start caterwauling. It takes very little to set him off. Who or what are Domery and Nita?
Domery and Nieder is as good a name as there is on 7th Avenue. But, of course, if you're not in the garment trade and know nothing about it, I imagine your wives would know the name, all right?
Why?
No wives, neither of us. That's why we caterwaul.
Well, if you had one, she'd know about Domery and Nieder. The business was started 20 years ago by two men, Jean Domery and my uncle, Paul Nieder.
Excuse me. Will it save time to tell you that I don't do industrial surveillance?
Oh, yeah, I know you don't. Now, look, it's about him, my uncle. Uncle Paul was the designer, the creator, and Jean Domery was the businessman, the manager. And they own the business as a 50-50 partnership. Now, I inherited my uncle's half when he killed himself. Anyway, that's how it was announced that he committed suicide a little over a year ago. Boy, that was a surprise to me.
What, suicide, you mean?
No, that I inherited.
Oh.
Even though I was his only living relative. But I suppose he wouldn't have made me his heir if he hadn't known I had an unusual talent.
What kind of talent?
As a clothes designer, of course. You know, I wasn't surprised about the suicide, not really. And maybe I should tell you why.
Maybe you should.
Because I knew how unhappy he was. You see, my uncle was in love with Helen Domery, his partner's wife, and she just died. She was thrown from a horse and killed. It broke him up completely. He didn't leave his apartment day or night for 3 days. It was right in the middle of getting ready for the showings of the fall line. Then he says he's going away for a rest. 4 days later, the news came that he committed suicide. Under the circumstances, it didn't occur to me to question it then.
Huh. Do you question it now?
Yeah, I certainly do. You know, I wasn't surprised either at the way he did it. He was always keyed up and dramatic about everything. So you'd expect him to do something startling about killing himself.
Well, just what did he do?
He took all his clothes off and jumped into a geyser in Yellowstone Park.
What?
Huh?
You know, under the surface of that geyser, the temperature would be far above the boiling point.
Yes, it would seem to be conclusive. Why do you now question the suicide?
Well, because I saw him last week, here in New York, alive.
Oh, indeed.
Last Tuesday. We were showing our fall line to the press, and there was a large audience. Now, I was modeling one of my own designs when I saw him in the 5th row. Now, if you ask me how I recognized him, I can't tell you. I simply know it was him.
Why shouldn't you recognize him?
Because he had a bushy beard and he wore glasses, and his hair was slick and parted on the left side.
Oh, an attempt to disguise.
Yeah, and it worked at first. None of the others recognized him. In the dressing room, Paulie Zarella asked Bernard. Oh, that's Bernard Domery, Jean's nephew. Who was the man that was growing his own wool? Bernard said he didn't know, probably from the Daily Worker.
But you recognized him?
No, not until I went out again to model our headliner, which is another of my designs. I took him in without being obvious about it, and, well, all of a sudden I knew who he was. I just knew. My God, I had to get off quicker than I should have. And in the dressing room, well, it was all I could do to keep them from seeing me tremble.
And no one else recognized him?
Well, I'm sure they didn't. Well, there would have been a noise. A dead man come back to life?
Yeah. Many of those present had known him?
Yeah, nearly all of them. Well, he was famous, you know, as famous as you are.
Did you speak to him?
No, the minute the show was over, I hurried out front, but he was gone.
Have you seen him since?
No, just that one time.
Whom have you told about this?
No one. Not a soul. I've been trying to decide what I should do.
Now, you say you inherited a half interest in that business from your uncle. Is the business solvent?
Oh, very. Business is very good.
Then why not just erase it? If you find your uncle and make him wash his hair and shave his beard, you'll have no inheritance. Your uncle will own half the business.
No, I have to know what's going on, and I have to know where I stand. I'm upset.
Then you should reserve decision. Never decide anything while you're upset. And, you know, in spite of your dogmatism, you may be wrong. It's true, you might have recognized him when others didn't, but others knew him intimately, too, like his business partner, Mr. Domery. Was he there that day? Did he see the man with the beard?
Oh, didn't I? I thought I'd mentioned that. Well, of course, Bernard Domery, the nephew, was there. I know I mentioned him. But Jean Domery, my uncle's partner, now he's dead.
The devil he is. Jumped in a geyser?
No, in an accident. He was drowned. He was fishing and fell from the boat.
Where was this?
In Florida, off the west coast.
When?
A little over 6 weeks ago.
Who was in the boat with him?
Bernard, his nephew.
Anyone else?
No.
And the nephew inherited that half?
Oh, yes, but that's all right.
Why is it all right?
Well, that's a silly question. I merely mean that if there'd been any question of anything wrong, the Florida people would have attended to it.
Yeah, perhaps. Only it's quite a long list, isn't it? Mrs. Domery killed in a riding accident. Mr. Nita propelled into a geyser and boiled. Mr. Domery hurtled into an ocean and drowned. It's not my affair, thank heaven. But if it were, I should want better testimony than that of what you call the Florida people. About your uncle. What did you want me for?
I want you to find him. I want to see him.
No, it could take time. It would be expensive.
Oh, yes, I know. I'll give you a check now. I suppose it's understood that this is extremely confidential. No reports are to be mailed or phoned to me. Everything must be done in person.
Well, that'll present no problem, Miss Nita. The problem is where to look for a man resurrected from the dead. I'd need to know all about his former associates.
No, that won't help. He had no really close friends. The only person he ever really loved was Helen Domery, unless he had some affection for me. I have a suggestion, though.
Yes?
The one thing he loved was his work, the business. Now, I believe he came there last Tuesday because he couldn't stay away. So why wouldn't he come again? Now, our next showing is this afternoon, so if Mr. Goodwin or you could come, I could arrange tickets and we could plan a signal for me to give if I spot him.
Which explains what I was doing sitting in the third row when Domery and Nieder showed their fall line to buyers.
293. 293. 293.
My seat gave me a clear view of the 200 customers, but there was no one answering the description of Carla's uncle. Carla appeared about a dozen times, but she didn't signal me once.
So the afternoon was a waste of time for you?
Oh, no, sir. No, it's not a waste. I saw, let's see.
Yes?
6 of the girls that I've been waiting to marry, if you count Carla Nieder, and I don't see why you shouldn't. As to making a choice, well...
Look, type up a report and keep it in the client's file. I'm going to read now, Archie.
Nope, I can't do it.
You can't do what?
Make a choice. The only way I can see to handle it is to send in an order for one of each. I'd have to marry all 6. Imagine it. After the weddings, I will, of course, have to take a good-sized apartment between 5th and Madison in the fashionable 60s. On a pleasant autumn evening, I'll be sitting in the living room reading the newspaper. I'll toss the paper aside and clap my hands, and in will come Isabel. She will have on a calf-exposing kitchen apron with a double hemline and will be carrying a tray of ham sandwiches and a pitcher of milk. She will say seductively, 293. Make interesting motions and gestures without spilling a drop. Then she'll go, and in will come Francine. She will be wearing slim silhouette pajamas with padded shoulders and a back-flaring hip line. She'll walk and wave and whirl and say, 931. Light me up a cigarette and dance out. Enter Delia. She'll be dressed in a high-styled bra of handmade lace with a billowing sweep right up to...
Enter another naked, carrying a basket full of bills and your checkbook.
You have a very personal slant on women, sir. Sometimes I think Nero Wolfe's main objection to atom bombs would be that they might interrupt people while eating. So when the doorbell rang during lunch the next day, Fritz answered it and...
Oh, no, Mr. Kramer. Mr. Wolf can't be disturbed at a meal. If you would be good enough to wait in the office. He's just having his dessert now. Please, Mr. Kramer.
Sorry to break in on your mail.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wolf. I couldn't stop
It's
him.
all right, Fritz. I heard. Inspector Kramer, if you haven't had lunch, we can offer
No,
you
thanks.
some
I'm in a
very-
hurry. A woman named Carla Nieder came to see you yesterday.
I'll have another rice cake, please, Fritz.
Yes, sir.
Well?
Well, what? You stated a fact. I'm eating lunch.
Fine, it's a fact. What did she want?
Now, you know my habits and customs, Mr. Kramer. I never talk business at a meal. I invited you to join us, and you declined. if you'd be so kind as to wait in the office.
No, I'll get this one, Fritz.
Oh, thank you, Archie.
Look, I don't give a damn about your habits and customs. I asked you a straight question. I want a straight answer.
You had it.
I don't have time to wait for you to finish stuffing your face.
Of course, my ears were burning at the mention of our client, because Kramer only handles one kind of case, homicide. But I figured I'd better not let Fritz try to handle another interruption. What I saw through the one-way glass panel in the front door relieved me a lot. Our client, alive and unhurt, was standing on the stoop.
I have to see Nero Wolf right away.
Don't turn around.
What?
Don't. There's a car pulling up to the curb with city license plates. Do you know if you're being followed?
Followed? Oh, I don't think so.
Listen,
Why would anyone...
Listen to me. When I let you in, we're going across the hall to the front room. I don't want you to make a sound until we're there, all right?
Well, yes, but
Come on. Come in.
What is all this?
Quiet.
What's the point of that?
The point is that a police inspector named Kramer is here. He's in the dining room asking about you. Now, do you want to see him?
No, I've already seen him.
What?
They've been asking me questions for hours.
Why? What happened?
My uncle,
Yeah. No. Take a deep breath. Come on. That's it.
I want to see Nero Wolf.
All right, you stay here and sit tight till we get rid of Kramer. This door connects with the office, and they may go in there, so please don't make a sound. Are you feeling all right? Huh?
Yes. Yes, I'm all right now.
Sir, I have not finished my gobbling yet, as you put it. I would have eaten 2 more cakes, and I've not yet had my coffee. Come into the office. You broke in, and you're still here. If you weren't an officer of the law, Mr. Goodwin would knock you unconscious and drag you out.
Okay. Come on, forget it, all right? All I want is to find out why Carla Nieder came to see you.
You know perfectly well.
I know you have a right to be told why I'm asking, and I would have told you if you hadn't lost your temper just because I arrived while you were stuffing it in. There has been a murder.
Oh, indeed.
Indeed. Last night, between 8 and midnight, at the office of Domery and Nieder on the 12th floor at 496 7th Avenue. Carla Nieder was there last night between 9 and 9:30. She admits that. And nobody else as far as we know now. She says she went to get some drawings, but that's got holes in it. The body was found this morning lying in the middle of the floor of the office. He'd been hit in the back of the head with one of those hardwood poles used to raise the lower windows. At the end of the pole has a brass hook on it. Been jabbed into his face a dozen times or more, like spearing a fish.
Well, you haven't said who he was.
A complete stranger to all the world, apparently. And nothing on him to tell. You described him.
Oh, nuts. Who was it?
A medium-sized man around 40 with a brown beard and slick brown hair parted on the left side with glasses that were just plain glass. Can you name him?
Sorry, never met him.
Under the circumstance, you may concede that I have a right to ask what she came to you for. It was only after she tried 2 lies on us about how she spent yesterday morning that we finally got it out of her that she came here. She wouldn't tell what she came for, so I came to ask you.
Is Miss Nieder under arrest?
Nero Wolf's residence. Archie,
Let me talk to Inspector Kramer, Archie.
It's for you, Inspector.
Me? Thanks. Yeah, Levy. Here.
Answering your question,
How
Mr.
long
Wolf,
ago?
Miss Nieder is not under arrest.
Thanks.
They turned her loose and put a tail on her, and the tail was just on the phone, telling Kramer that she came here. She's in the front room. I put her there because I know how you are about having your meals interrupted. Shall I bring her in?
You snippy little bastard.
I'm not little.
So the minute we let her go, she comes here.
Archie?
Yes, sir.
Did Miss Nieder say why she came?
No, just said she wanted to see you. She spent hours down at the station, and her tongue is tired.
Bring her in here.
Yes, sir. Inspector Kramer is here asking about you, Miss Nieder. Will you come in, please?
I told you. I'd already seen him.
Miss Nieder, I am working for you, and you have paid me a retainer. Is that correct?
Yes, certainly.
Then first, some advice. The police could have held you as a material witness, and you'd have had to get bail. Instead, they've let you go to give you an illusion of freedom, and they're following you around.
But why?
Now, should you at any time want to go anywhere without their knowledge, Mr. Goodwin's an expert on that, and he can tell you what to do. I understand that Mr. Kramer and his men have dragged it out of you that you came here yesterday, but that you have refused to tell them why. Is that correct?
Yes.
That was sensible. You are suspected of murder. But that puts you under no compulsion to disclose all the little secrets you have locked up. My position, though, is quite different from yours. What you said to me was not a privileged communication. In my business, I need to have the goodwill, or at least the tolerance of the police, in order to keep my license. And besides, I respect and admire Mr. Kramer and would like to help him. I tell you all this so that you will not misunderstand what I'm about to do.
What?
Mr. Kramer, since your army has had several hours to poke into corners, you've learned, I suppose, that Mr. Goodwin went to that place yesterday and sat through a show.
Yeah, I know about that.
You didn't mention it.
I hadn't come to it.
Oh, you're reserved, eh? Well, you heard what I just told Miss Nita. She came yesterday morning to consult me about her uncle.
Yeah? What uncle?
Mr. Paul Nita. He's dead. Miss Nita inherited half of that business from him. Back files of newspapers will tell you that he committed suicide a little over a year ago by jumping into a geyser in Yellowstone Park.
What?
Miss Nita told me about that and many other things. I don't remember everything she said, but I don't intend to try. The only thing I can furnish that might help you is the conclusion I formed. You want to hear it?
Yes.
I concluded that Miss Nita had pushed her uncle into the geyser and, becoming fearful of exposure, had come to me to get her out of it.
Why, you...
Shut up. Archie, was that the impression you got?
Precisely.
Thanks for the conclusion. Did she tell you that she had killed her uncle?
Oh, no, indeed.
Exactly what did she want you to do?
Well, that's why I came to that conclusion. She left it vague about what I was to do. I couldn't possibly...
Try telling me what you told Goodwin to do when you sent him up there.
You remember, Archie?
Oh, sure. Sure, I remember. You told me to keep a sharp lookout and report everything that happened. And what happened was I saw 6 of the girls that I had been waiting to marry. Now, after the wedding...
You're a goddamn liar,
get a nice
Mr.
apartment.
Kramer, I'm tired of this. Mr. Goodwin can't throw you out of here once you're in, but we can leave you here and go upstairs, and you know the limits of your license as well as I do.
I said you're lying.
Prove it! Far less provocation than you've given me by your uncivilized conduct in my dining room. I'd lie all day and all night. Regarding this murder of a bearded stranger, where do I fit? Oh, Mr. Goodwin, connect us if you can. Should you be rash enough to constrain us as material witnesses, we'd teach you something of the art of lying, and we wouldn't squeeze out on bail. We'd dislocate your nose with a habeas corpus and a sub judiceandum. Now, will you leave my house at once, or do we leave you here and go upstairs?
You won't get away with this, Wolf. Believe me, you won't.
Good day, sir.
Oh, well, we won't invite him to lunch again, will we, sir?
Shut up, Archie. Miss Nita,
Yes.
did you kill that man?
Did I? Did I kill my uncle?
Archie.
Oh, she'll be all right. I think she just...
Well, stop her. How do you stop her?
Oh, I could slap her or kiss her. I think I'll try kissing her.
What the hell? Why did you do that?
To stop you. See? Now, you can't blame her. I doubt if it's fear or despair or anything normal like that. It's probably hunger. I'll bet she hasn't even had breakfast yet.
Is that true, Miss Nita? Haven't you had lunch?
No. They kept me there, and then I had to see you.
Archie,
Sir?
have Fritz bring some sandwiches and beer at once. Beer, Miss Nita?
I don't have to eat.
Oh, nonsense. Beer? Claret? Milk? Brandy?
Scotch and water. I could use that.
Right. And Archie, have Fritz bring in the coffee and the rest of the rice cakes. Do you feel better now?
Yeah, much better, thanks. I guess I was pretty empty.
Good. You came to me as soon as the police let you go. Does that mean that you want my help in this new circumstance?
Well, it certainly does. Now, what I want to do is...
We'll go faster if I lead. Mr. Kramer's quite capable of sending men here with warrants, so let's compress it. There are 2 points in which I must be satisfied before we can proceed. First, did you kill that man?
No, I want to...
Just the no will do if it's the truth, is it?
Yes, it's no.
I'm inclined to accept it. Archie?
I vote no. I wouldn't have had the impulse to kiss her if she jabbed a window pull into a man's face. No, definitely no.
Then that's settled. The other point, Miss Nita, is this. Was the man you saw a week ago your uncle, and was it he who was killed last night?
Oh, yes, it was Uncle Paul. I saw him. I went right
You're
up...
certain?
Look, I made myself go close to look at him. Oh, his face was dreadful, but he had the beard and the slick hair. I wanted to do something, but I didn't have the nerve enough, and I had to sit down to pull myself together. Now, they say I was in there 15 minutes, but I wouldn't think it took me that long to get up my nerve, but maybe it did. Anyway, I went and I pulled up the right leg of his trousers and I pulled his sock down. He had 2 little scars about 4 inches above the ankle where he'd been bitten by a dog once. I looked at them close. I had to sit down again. Oh. Well, now that's why it took me 15 minutes. I'd forgotten all about that. I sat down again.
And then you left?
Yes, I went home to my apartment and phoned Mr. Demarest.
Who's
I hadn't
Mr.
even...
Demarest?
He's a lawyer. He was a friend of Uncle Paul's, and he's the executor. So I thought I'd better phone him.
Yeah. Confounded, why didn't you phone me?
Well, I didn't know you well enough for that, did I? I mean, how could I tell what you would or wouldn't believe?
Yeah, indeed. So you decided to keep it from me, running the risk that I might glance at a newspaper. Yeah. What is the lawyer doing? Reading up?
No, I didn't get him. I phoned again at 11:30, but he still wasn't in. I intended to phone again, but I lay down on the couch and... Well, it may be hard to believe, but I went to sleep and I didn't wake up till nearly 7 o'clock. Then I thought it over, and I decided not to tell Mr. Demarest or anybody else. Well, I figured during a show season, there are lots of people going up and down in those elevators after hours, and I thought, well, they won't remember about me, and my name wasn't in the book because they know me so well, and they're not strict about it. Oh, boy, that was dumb, wasn't it?
It was...
Yeah, well, of course I had to go to work as if nothing had happened. And the place was full of police and detectives when I got there. I'd only been there a few minutes when they took me into a fitting room to question me, and like a fool, I told them I hadn't been there last night when they already knew about it. When they were through with me, I phoned Mr. Demarest's office, and he was out at lunch. So I came here.
Yes, well, you said you want my help in this new circumstance. What do you want me to do? Keep you from being convicted of murder?
Convicted? Of murdering my uncle? Now, I told you...
I suggest, sir, that you lay off unless you want to make me kiss her again. She's not a crybaby. Your direct approach is something.
Well, look, Miss Nita, if you're on the defense and intend to stay there, get a lawyer. I'm no good for that. If you want your uncle's murderer caught, whoever it is, and doubt whether the police are up to it, get me. Now, which do you want? A lawyer or me?
I want you.
All right, then we know what we're doing. In 20 minutes, I must go up to my Yorkies. I spend 2 hours with them every afternoon from 4 to 6. The most urgent question now is this. Who knows that the murdered man was Paul Nita? Who besides you?
Nobody.
As far as you know, no one has said or done anything to indicate knowledge or suspicion of his identity.
No, they all say they never saw him before, and they have no idea how he got there or who he is. Of course, the way his face was, you wouldn't expect anybody
I suppose not. But we'll assume that whoever killed him knows who he was. We'd be donkeys if we didn't. Also, we'll assume that he thinks no one else knows. That gives us an advantage. Now, are you sure you have given no one a hint of your recognition of your uncle last week?
Yes, I'm positive.
Good. Now, do you think you know who killed your uncle?
Well, no, of course not.
You've no idea at all?
No.
How many people work there?
Right now, about 200.
Oh, phooey. Can any of them get in after hours?
Not unless they have a key, or they're let in by someone who does have a key.
Well, who has keys?
Well, let's see now. I have one. Bernard Domery, Paulie Zarella, Ward Roper. That's all. Oh, no. Mr. Demarest has one. As my uncle's executor, he's in legal control of the half-interest.
Who opens up in the morning and locks up at night?
Paulie Zarella. She's been doing that for years, since before I came there.
So there are just 5 keys?
Yeah, that's all.
Then we know of 4 people with keys besides you. Now, can you get them here this evening?
What? You want all 4 of them here this evening?
Yes.
Oh, good Lord, I can't just order them around. What can I say? But they're much older than I am. All but Bernard. Anyway, they think I'm just a fresh kid. I'm only 21. That is, I will be. My God.
What now?
Tomorrow's my birthday.
Really?
I'll be 21 tomorrow.
You will? Oh.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Archie.
Yes, sir.
Go up there with Miss Nita. Get those people here by 8:30.
He's on the phone. He'll be with us in a minute. Now, listen.
Oh, I'm listening.
The trouble with Bernie is that he can't bear to decide anything, especially if it's important. You might think he had to consult a crystal ball or something. And then when he does make up his mind, he's as stubborn as a mule. So now what I do when I want him to agree about something is I act as if it isn't very important. I keep very calm.
Very calm.
I'm sorry, Carla. That was Miss Doherty from Bloomingdale's on the phone. She thinks your work is better than ever. She's completely lost her head over your three... Oh, who's this?
Mr. Goodwin of Nero Wolfe's office. Mr. Bernard Domery.
How do you do?
Nero Wolfe, the detective?
Are there two?
Where does Nero Wolfe come in?
Well, I went to see him. I've hired him.
Well, what for? To do what?
Well, I think I need somebody. The police came within an inch of arresting me.
You're joking.
No, I'm not. They kept me there all morning, and then they even had me followed.
Then you need a lawyer, not Nero Wolfe. Have you seen Demarest?
No, not yet, but I will.
Well, damn it, you should have seen him first.
Bernie, I'm not taking your time to ask you what I should have done. I'll tend to that, thank you.
Miss Nieder.
I want to ask you to do something.
May I join in this calm discussion?
This thing is crazy, absolutely crazy. I think what we ought to do is just ignore it. Just simply ignore it.
Yeah, that would be innocent and brave, but it might get complicated if one of you gets charged with murder.
Charged with murder?
That's right.
How could we be Why would any of us kill a man we never saw before? That's nonsense. Carla, what you want is Demarest. I'm going to phone him right now.
Bernie, don't tell me what I want. I know what I want, thank you, and it's not Demarest.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Henry, I was just saying...
Yes, I heard. Have I come at an awkward moment?
No, certainly not. I was just about to phone you. Carla thinks she's in trouble with the police about the body that was found here this morning.
I was nearly arrested because I came here last night and stayed 15 minutes.
My dear child, you should have called me at once.
I tried to phone you last night, but you weren't at home, and I couldn't get you this morning either, so I went to Nero Wolfe instead.
Nero Wolfe?
Maybe
Why?
I can clear this up, Mr. Demarest. I'm Archie Goodwin, Nero Wolfe's assistant. Miss Nieder has engaged Nero Wolfe primarily to keep her from being arrested. She is...
How would Nero Wolfe do that?
He sent me to arrange a meeting tonight to discuss it. Miss Nieder, Miss Eerily, Mr. Domery, Mr. Roper, and you.
The 5 people who have keys to this office.
That's right. You figured that quickly.
I spent most of the afternoon at the DA's office.
Then I guess you can see the point to this meeting. 8:30 would suit him fine. Refreshments served.
We're summoned.
I wouldn't dream of putting it that way.
No, but we are. We who have keys. I offer a comment. You say that Wolfe's primary function is to prevent Miss Nieder's arrest.
Yes.
Obviously, he intends to perform it by getting someone else arrested. That may prove to be difficult and expensive and possibly quite unnecessary.
Oh?
I would engage with the situation as it is now to get the same result with 1/10 the effort and expense. It's only fair to her, isn't it, to give her that alternative?
You could try it, yes.
What about it, Carla? It's your money. Do you want to pay Wolfe to do it his way?
Yes, I do.
Did you say 8:30, Mr. Goodwin?
That would be best. Mr. Wolfe works better when he isn't looking forward to a meal. You'll come?
Certainly I'll come to save energy.
To save energy?
It will take less to attend the meeting than it would to argue Miss Nieder out of it.
Good. How about it, Mr. Domery? You'll be with us.
I don't know. I'll think it over.
Oh, Bernie!
Carla, it may be inadvisable. I don't know.
How long do you think you'll need to think? An hour, half an hour? By 6:30.
I'll let you know.
There are 2 more to invite, Miss Eerily and Mr. Roper. It might help if you would get them in here, or would that require some thinking, too, Mr. Domery?
You do your thinking, and I'll do mine. Polly, Ward, would you come in here right away, please?
Just as soon as I finish this.
No, now. I need you both now.
I am behind already, all day long.
Well,
The
what
police
is it?
are-
What's so important? This is Mr. Goodwin. He wants to ask you something.
How do you do? You're very busy. I can see that. I'll cut it short. Miss Nieder has hired my boss, Nero Wolfe, because she's in danger of being arrested. Mr. Wolfe would like to have a talk with you.
Why?
He wants to talk with everyone who carries a key to this place at his office at 8:30 this evening. Will you come?
No.
No.
No. I lose my time today. I will be here all evening with Carter scouting.
This is pretty important, Miss Eerily.
I do not think so. He was here, he is gone, and we forget it. I told that to the police, and I tell it to you. Miss Nieder is not danger. If she was danger, I would fight it off with these hands, because she is the best designer in America or Europe or the world.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but she is not dangered. No. I go back to work now.
Polly, wait.
Yes, I think you ought to wait for Mr. Roper's vote. Mr. Roper.
Well, it doesn't seem to me that this is exactly the proper step to take under the circumstances.
Huh? What's wrong with it?
Well, almost everything, I'd say.
Oh.
It assumes that we, the 5 of us, are involved in this matter, which is ridiculous. One, indeed, may be involved, deeply involved, but not the other 4, not the rest of us.
What the hell are you getting
Oh,
at?
nothing, Bernard. Nothing specific. Just a comment expressing my reaction.
This is a joke, and if you ask me, it's a rotten one. Have you gotten around to your thinking yet, Mr. Domery? Made up your mind?
No, I haven't. And who do you think you are, anyway?
Just at present, I'm Miss Nieder's hired man. Now, who do you think Miss Nieder is? Some little girl asking you to please be kind and help her out? You damn fool. She owns half this outfit. Mr. Domery, you're her business partner. What couldn't she do to you if she felt like it? And the rest of you are just employees, her hired help. As Miss Nieder's representative, I hereby instruct you to report to the office of Nero Wolf at 8:30 this evening. You confirm that, Miss Nieder?
Yes, I confirm it.
Good. You'll be there, Miss Zarella.
But certainly I will be there with bells on.
Fine. You, Mr. Roper.
Well, the way you put it, I hardly know what to say.
Is that right?
It is true. Yes, it is true that at some future time Miss Nieder will probably own a half interest in this business, in the success of which I have had some part for the past 14 years. That is, she will if she's available.
What do you mean, available?
Well, isn't it obvious? Of course, you can't be expected to be objective, Bernard, but the police are usually right about these things, and you know what they think, so I merely ask. What if she's not available?
Look, I warned you
As
last
for
night, Ward. I told you to watch your nasty tongue.
Oh.
Apologize to Carla and do it quick or I'll break your neck.
Apologize? For
I
what?
said apologize.
Don't fire him. Don't fire him. Miss Nieder doesn't want him fired. She wants him there tonight.
You'll be there. You'll be there, Ward. Do you understand? Answer me.
Yes. Fantastic. Which leaves only you, Mr. Domery. You'll be there, too, won't you?
I'll decide later, and I'll let you know.
Thank you all for coming.
We had to. Your man Goodwin dragooned us.
Oh, not you, I understand, Mr. Demarest.
Oh, yes, me too. Only I saw the compulsion a little ahead of the others.
Well, anyway, you're here. I believe Mr. Goodwin has explained the circumstances to all of you, so I think we might start by clearing up one point. How you spent your time last evening from 8 o'clock to midnight. Will you begin, Mr. Demarest?
If your man had asked that question this afternoon, it might have simplified matters.
Oh, indeed? Well, it's been asked now.
And now I'll simplify it. You want it all, of course.
Please.
The showing of the fall line yesterday brought a situation to a climax. For 2 years now, it began even before Paul Nieder's death, Mr. Roper here has been getting increasingly jealous of Miss Nieder's talent as a creative designer.
That's not true.
The reactions to this new line have made it evident that she is vastly superior to him, and this enraged him. He wanted to quit. Since his services are still valuable within the limits of his abilities, it was desirable to calm him down. And for that purpose, Bernard Domery, Polly Zarella, and Ward Roper dined with me in a restaurant last evening. We were together continuously from 7:30 to well after midnight.
What? All 4 of you? For the entire time?
Yes. It does simplify things, doesn't it?
You verify that, Mr. Domery? All of it, as told?
Yes, I do.
Do you, Miss Zarella?
Oh, yes.
Mr. Roper?
I do not.
Oh.
To say Miss Nieder is vastly my superior is absolutely absurd. I have in my possession 3 books of clippings from Women's Wear Daily, Vogue, Harper's
Yes,
Bazaar.
yes, no doubt,
Make it-
no doubt. We'll allow your exception to that part. Do you verify Mr. Demarest's account of what happened last evening?
No. There wasn't the slightest necessity of calming me down, as he put it. I merely
Oh,
wanted to
confound
make
it.
the
Were
point...
you 4 people together from 7:30 till after midnight?
Oh, that? Oh, yes, we were.
I see. Naturally, the police are especially interested in Miss Nieder, since she alone of those who have keys is vulnerable. Oh, by the way, Mr. Domery, how did it happen that Miss Nieder wasn't invited to that conference? Isn't she a half-owner?
I represented her interest.
But before long, she'll probably be representing herself. Shouldn't she be consulted on important matters?
Oh, damn it. Isn't it obvious? If she'd been there, we couldn't have handled Roper at all. He can't bear the sight of her.
I did not...
Even so, isn't it true that Miss Nita has been deliberately and consistently ignored in the management of the business?
Yes.
No.
Oh, yes, it is
Oh,
so.
please.
You are...
This will finish sooner if you let me dominate it. I'm not implying that Miss Nita is unappreciated. You all admit her designing talent, all but Mr. Roper. And just this afternoon, one of you was quick and eager to resent an aspersion on her. No, I refer, Mr. Domery, to your assault on Mr. Roper. You leapt, hot-headed, to Miss Nita's defense. Now, it isn't easy to reconcile that with your reluctance to come here this evening at her request.
Well, I wasn't reluctant. I had to think it over, that's all.
You, often have to think things over, don't you?
What's it to you if I do?
Oh, it's a great deal to me. I have engaged to prevent Miss Nita's arrest for murder, and I suspect that your habit of thinking things over is going to show me how to do it. Mr. Demarest, how long have you known Mr. Domery?
6 years, ever since he started to work in his uncle's business.
Please give me a considered answer to this. Has he always had to think things over? Have you noticed any change in him in that respect at any time?
I don't have to consider it. He was always a very decisive young man, even aggressive, until he became the active head of the business some weeks ago. But that was only natural, wasn't it? A man of his age suddenly taking on so great a responsibility?
Perhaps. Miss Zarella, do you agree with what Mr. Demarest has said?
Oh, yes. Bernard has been so different.
And do you, Miss Nita?
Well, I suppose people might have got that impression.
Oh, you're
but...
hedging. Was there a change in Mr. Domery as stated about 6 weeks ago?
Well, yes, there was, but Mr. Demarest has explained why.
He thinks he has. Now we're getting somewhere. Mr. Domery, I wish to ask you some questions as Miss Nita's agent. They may strike you as irrelevant or even impertinent, but if they're not actually offensive, will you answer them?
What are the questions?
Are your parents alive?
Yes.
Where are they?
In Los Angeles. My father is a professor in the university there.
Is either of them conversant with your business affairs?
Not especially. Well, in a vague, general way.
Have you any other relatives that you see or correspond with frequently?
Carla, do you want me to go on with the autobiography?
She has no opinion in the matter because she doesn't know what I'm after. Can you object that my questions are offensive?
No, they're only silly.
Ah. Then humor me. Or humor Miss Nita through me. Any other relatives that you see or correspond with frequently?
None whatever.
For help in making decisions, manifestly it's not Mr. Demarest you turn to, nor Miss Zarella, nor Mr. Roper. Is there a banker, a lawyer, a friend, any other person or persons on whose judgment you rely for guidance in your business? Anyone at all?
Well, no special person. No, I discuss things with people, naturally, including Mr. Demarest.
Oh, not Mr. Demarest. He has noticed a change in you. Now, this is your last chance, Mr. Domery, to drag somebody in.
I don't have to drag anybody in. I'm sound mind and body and over 21.
I know you are, and of a decisive and aggressive temperament, and that's why I'm making progress. Thank you, Mr. Domery.
What for?
Well, up to a few minutes ago when I got my head battered in by being told that you four people spent last evening together, I'd no idea where my target was. Now I know. Where is he?
What?
Where is he, Mr. Domery?
Who?
No, sir, it's no good. I know. Even if I only guessed it'd be enough, I could give it to the police as a suspicion deserving inquiry. How long do you think it would take the police to find him? Mr. Domery, I cannot stress this strongly enough. Miss Nita is in serious danger of being arrested for a murder she did not commit.
Look, I've had enough of this. I'm leaving.
No, sir, you will not be permitted to leave this room until either you've told me where he is, or I've given the police time to start on his trail and cover my door.
Oh, unlawful restraint with witnesses.
Where is he, Mr. Domery? You can't take time to think it over now to consult him on this one. Where is he?
This is awful. This is an awful thing.
Stop it. You can't do this. You can't threaten and keep him here. It's unlawful. Now, just stop it now.
It's too late, Carla. You hired him. And I must admit you're getting your money's worth. You'd better tell him, Bernard. It may be hard, but the other way's harder.
Where is he, Mr. Domery?
The address is 816 East 90th Street. Look, I want to phone him.
No, you will be unlawfully restrained if you try. What is it, an apartment building?
Yes, apartment 10C. I rented it for
Is he there now?
Yes, I was to phone him there when I left here. I said I'd go to see him, but he said I might be followed, and I'd better phone from a booth.
What is the name?
Dixon. George Dixon.
Thank you. Archie?
Yes, sir.
Get Fritz in here and give him a revolver. I don't know how some of these mines might work. Then get Mr. Dixon and bring him here. The address...
I have it written down, sir.
Don't alarm him any more than you have to. I don't want you killed, and I don't want a suicide.
Mr. George Dixon?
What do you want?
I have a message from Mr. Bernard Domery.
Yes?
Are you George Dixon?
I'm Dixon. Hand it through to me.
I can't. It's verbal.
Then say it. What is it?
You'll have to open the door all the way. I have to see you first. You were described to me. Mr. Domery's in a little trouble. Thank you.
Okay, what kind of trouble?
He'll have to tell you about it. I'm just a messenger. All I can tell you is I was instructed to ask you to come to him.
Why didn't he phone me?
A phone isn't available to him right now.
Excuse me, is someone sitting here?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Thank you.
Here you are, sir. Ginger ale.
Thanks.
The usual, please.
Okay. Yes, sir, may I?
You got a light?
Of course.
Thank you.
Don't mention it.
Here you are.
Thanks. Why do you drink ginger ale?
I like it. Why do you drink martinis?
Same reason, I guess. It's a brilliant conversation, isn't it?
Well, I've heard better.
You're not very friendly, are you?
A Boy Scout is always friendly.
And does good turns. So I hear.
Do you want to be helped across the street?
All right, I'll shut up.
I took a good look at her. There was something scared-looking about her. And she was nervous. Well, so was I, because the minutes were passing and I still had that money. And I wanted to get rid of it. But I wondered about the girl, whether she had any part in this. I watched her out of the corner of my eye. She picked up her bag, reached for a lipstick, and then...
Oh, clumsy.
So it's true what they say about women's handbags. You get the stuff on the bar, I'll pick up the kitchen sink off the floor.
I'm so sorry. Did the powder spill on you?
No, it's all right. Yeah. Here you are.
The mirror didn't break, did it?
Nope, you're still good for 7 years more.
Thanks. Thanks ever so much.
I told you I was a good Boy Scout.
You have a nice smile.
Want a toothpaste commercial to go with it?
Now, don't be nasty.
I'm sorry. I guess I'm just as nervous as you are.
Let's talk about something else.
She chattered away, and
It really is
I
a
listened with
lovely
half an
place,
ear.
isn't it?
Once in a while, threw in a yes or a no. And the clouds began to gather. The mirror at the back of the bar went back and forth. The people got bigger, then shrank to midgets. Somebody drove a plane through my head. It buzzed around and made a bad landing on my brain.
There you are. Feeling better now? You'll be all right. Just lie there, take it easy.
Sure, Hey, I'm in my room.
Of course. We brought you here.
We?
I'm the hotel physician, Mr. Holliday.
Oh, what happened?
Just a fainting spell, nothing serious.
Fainting spell? What are you talking about?
Fainting spells. Your wife told me you get them.
My what told you what?
No. Just lie back.
Whose wife said what?
Well, your wife. She's got to have a prescription told.
Now, listen, Doc, hand me my coat, will you?
It's better if you lie here.
It's better if you hand me my coat. Give it to me.
Oh, very well. There you are. What's the matter?
Was my wife in this room?
Of course, she came up with me.
Uh-huh. Doc, what would you do with $126,000?
What? 100?